Chapter 379. The old men of Huayuan County were really accurate. It rained heavily for 3 days. On the morning of the 4th day, the rain finally subsided. Some places even had sunlight. Zhang Zhong didn't go anywhere these days. He stayed at the foot of Yaowang Mountain. When the water was heavy, no matter what he was doing, he would put down everything and rush to the dam to guard it. If he was sleepy, he would lie down in his house for a while. If he was hungry, he would just eat something. He watched for 3 days. Miraculously, nothing happened to the river and the canal on Yaowang Mountain. The rain stopped, but the water level didn't drop immediately. They had to wait for half a day for the water to flow down more upstream. The people who were working let out a sigh of relief. They looked at the muddy lake. It wasn't too big. They still had to keep the canal. In the future, it would become a river that fed into the lake. When the time came, they would open a hole in another place. When the lake water reached a certain level, it would flow to the downstream from that hole or become a separate river. Zhang Zhong went to bed at 3 in the morning and woke up at 9 in the morning. He slept quite well. After eating an unknown meal, he came to the dam again. The commoners greeted them one after another, their gazes filled with deep respect. The happiest ones were the commoners who came here from the outside to do some odd jobs. Ever since Zhang Zhong said that they could stay in Huayuan County, this news quickly spread among them. "Master, please change your clothes. There's nothing to do here. When the rain stops and the water level drops, you still have to go back to the yamen. You don't know how many things are there." The yamen runner carried a new set of official robes and followed behind Zhang Zhong to let him change. Zhang Zhong had been wearing the torn clothes for the past 3 days. He didn't wash them. At this time, they looked dirty and tattered. They didn't look like official robes at all. However, Zhang Zhong felt that he was a real official at this time. "There's no hurry. Let's wait until the rain stops. Otherwise, we'll get wet again. In the future, this lake will be our family. We can settle many people who can't find a job. We can also make money. It won't be worse than those businesses at the foot of Yaowang Mountain." Zhang Zhong said happily as he looked at the muddy lake and imagined what it would be like in the future. The yamen runner was also happy. The more money and power the master had, the better life the people in the inner courtyard would have. They would have more confidence when they went out. He thought for a while and said, "Master, I have a younger brother. He is 21 this year. Why don't we let him raise some fish and shrimp here? He hasn't found a wife yet." "No." Zhang Zhong rejected the request without thinking. The bailiff was a little helpless, but he couldn't say anything. If the master didn't want him to do it, then he couldn't do it. But Zhang Zhong's next words made him happy again. "Isn't it a waste of talent for people from the inner yard to come here to raise fish and shrimps? Let him be a steward here and manage the others well. When the time comes, if he takes a fancy to any girl, the main family will help him marry her into the family. In the future, they will live separately." "Ah, Master, is that true?" "Thank you, Master. You don't need to live separately. When you become a steward, you can get married immediately. It's not a girl from any family, but a girl from the inner yard. The good girls outside are not ordinary. They don't like ordinary people from the inner yard. Only the people in the inner yard are pleasing to the eye." Master, when you live in the main family, it's enough to have a house." The yamen runner finally helped solve a big problem for the family. His younger brother could get married. His younger brother had been with that girl for a long time, but the girl insisted that she was waiting for his younger brother to have a good future. What good could he do by staying in the inner yard all day? Of course, it didn't count if he did the work that he should do, but it was different if he came out to be a steward. Zhang Zhong didn't object to the love between people in the inner yard. As long as they followed the rules and followed the etiquette, they could get married if they liked. In the future, they would have children in the inner yard. After listening to the yamen runner, he agreed. When it's time for the wedding, the main family will send a betrothal gift and a dowry for the bride. See if we can still buy land behind the yamen and build a new house there. We can't mistreat the people in the inner yard." "Thank you, Master. When the time comes, my younger brother won't be separated from the main family. In the past 2 years, the two of them have saved some money. Life will be good. Master, that assistant minister, why don't you think of a way to find out about him? What if he plays tricks behind your back? The Yamen runner imagined the situation when his younger brother got married. The more he thought about it, the happier he became. In the future, he would still be a member of the main family, so he didn't need to spend much money. His meals and clothes would still be taken care of by the main family. When he had children, the main family would also help to raise them. When they were older, they would go to school. When they were older, they would go to school. Thinking of these good things, the Yamen runner suddenly remembered the assistant minister that came that day. Master didn't let him off lightly, so he was a little worried. Zhang didn't care at all. I don't care what assistant minister he is. He doesn't have the guts to impeach me. As for playing tricks behind my back, let him be. There are many people who want to play tricks on the Zhang family. Master is right. Do you really want to work for 3 to 5 years? After the autumn harvest this year, all the infrastructure construction will be completed. In addition to the various businesses, Huayuan County will be even more prosperous than Sanshui County. Father, you're still young. You're not even 30 years old. You are only 20 years old. It's fine if you go to the capital to be an official now. Put in more effort for the family and let you do chores in various departments first. When the time comes, you can use some money or make some achievements. Then you can be promoted slightly. But if you want to be the assistant minister, you will need at least 10 years. 10 years is still young. You're only 34 or 35 years old. But if you want to be the minister, it may take more than 10 years. You can also sit there. Think of more ways. I can help you, but I am too tired. It's not just a simple achievement. There are also political struggles with other senior officials. Father, don't you want to do something big? Just being an official is not enough. The Zhang family still needs a lot of money to support. I still need to earn money. Although Cuckoo is helping me, Cuckoo also has her own things to do. Zhang Xiaobao told the truth. Zhang Zhong looked at his son and realized that his son was still a child. He was already so tired. When he grew up, he would have his own things to do. He could not help him behind the scenes all the time. He had to learn more about this kind of thing in the future. He could not always study behind the scenes. It was also good to go to a place. The poorer the place, the more conflicts there were. It was also a kind of learning and training. If he directly entered the imperial court, he would have the help of his family. Furthermore, he would be an official who dealt with chores. His colleagues would give in to him, and he would not get too much training. It was better to go outside and take a look at the poorer places. With his son's ability, he did not need to do anything else. He only needed to copy some things from Sanshui County and Huayuan County. Thinking of this, Zhang Zhong did not know whether he should be happy or helpless. He was helpless because he had too little experience in officialdom and needed others to protect him. He was happy because any official would treat him like this. It could be said that they were arrogant. They would be the top scorer just because they said so. When it came to Huayuan, they would become the county magistrate. Chapter 380. Zhang Zhong thought about how difficult it was for others to be an official and compared it to himself. He was in a good mood and said to Zhang Xiaobao, Xiaobao, let's do as Elderbai said. Where are we going? Do we need to prepare first? Dad, I don't know. I think that guy will send you to the south, not to Hunan or Jiangnan. He will continue to the south and send you to a place where you are usually sent to. Zhang Xiaobao thought about it and felt that the possibility was very high. It would take a few months or half a year to go to that place. It was not like when he and Wang Wan were at that time. The further south they went, the more prosperous it was. Now, most people were not willing to go there. If they did not like someone, they would be sent to that place. The road was difficult to travel, and the climate was not suitable. Otherwise, there would not be so many people who died on the way. They really needed to prepare well. Zhang Zhong did not expect that his son could say so far. He thought that they would go to Sichuan or Linhai in Hunan province. He was a little scared when he thought of that place. Xiaobao, only people who are sent to that place go to that place, right? That LV Yinzhua is so capable that he can send me, a county magistrate with achievements, away. Dad, of course LV Yinzhua is not so capable, but our Zhang family is. Cooperate with him, and you can go there, right? It is easy. Dad, you can watch the scenery along the way and eat and sleep well when you reach the place. It is best to go to the seaside. Although it is a little wet, the scenery is good. You can eat and drink a lot of things that are not here, and see a lot of ethnic customs. Dad, you haven't seen what the sea looks like, right? It is blue during the day and dark at night. Dad, don't you want to see the scenery there? The moon rises from the sea, and we share this moment in the world. Sail a small boat and experience the feeling of riding the wind and waves. Listen to the sound of seabirds and see how they fly in the sea and sky. Okay? Xiaobao began to talk about the good places, describing them as if they were in heaven. Not good, not good. Who would send you there? What if I fall sick on the way? You can just wait to feel better. Go and see how much the water level has dropped. I'll be back soon. Zhang Zhong was really attracted by what his son said, but when he thought about it, it didn't seem to be the case. Those who were sent there all looked so sad. Countless officials died on that road. As he spoke, Zhang Zhong turned around and walked up the embankment. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan followed behind. Zhang Xiaobao was still trying to entice him. Father, how can it not be good? Others may not understand, but our family is different. When we arrive at a place, we first improve the lives of the local people, and then we build there. In order to prevent you from not being acclimatized, from tomorrow onwards, Father, you will start to eat things from the sea for dinner. I will change the cooking method for you. When we go there, we will take the boat and go through the river. The river will change to a small river, and the small river will enter the big river. There are also canals and lakes. I will use various methods to cook, such as stewing, braising, simmering, warming, steaming, roasting, frying, baking, braising, smoking, buckling, soaking, boiling, mixing, pan-frying, roasting, pickling, and so on. When you are familiar with the food, you can eat any dish. If you're not used to it, you can eat less and make it into a plate. In this way, how can you not be acclimatized? In order to not be seasick, Father, in the future, when you have nothing to do, you can sit in a boat in the water. I will ask someone to make a round boat. You can sit in it, and with the paddles around you, the boat will start to spin. That kind of boat will go up and down as long as it encounters a little wave. After practicing for half a year, you will not have to worry about seasickness. At that time, we will eat, drink, and play. Our two families will go together to the beautiful place with blue sky and blue water. Zhang Zhong listened and was amused. He looked back at his son and said, "You know so many cooking methods? I'm not seasick. I don't need to suffer from that." You don't know, but others know. Even if a chef knows a few cooking methods, there are chefs from all over the capital. Find them, and the cooking method will be complete. Why do we have to wait until we get to the place to prepare to adapt? From now on, our two families, including the inner courtyard, must be prepared. Zhang Xiaobao really did not know so many cooking methods. It was good enough that he could cook something to eat. He was not a chef before. Zhang Zhong felt that it was reasonable. In that case, we will do as you say. We have to hurry up with the things here. Turn back, go 1212, stand still. After Zhang Zhong's matter was settled, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan became free people again. The construction of the supermarket and the boat were left to other people. This time, the two of them finally regained their freedom. Every day, they wrote a letter to the old man and explained the things they did not understand in the letter they received yesterday. In the morning, they would wake up to eat, then study. In the afternoon, they would eat and sleep for a while. Then they would exercise. In the evening, after eating, they would sleep and wake up in the middle of the night to study again. Their lives became regular. They did not have to worry about Zhuangzi. The farmers raised their own poultry and livestock. Only when they were cooking roasted chicken and smoked chicken, they would come back to Zhang Xiaobao once in a while to ask for seasonings. Zhang Xiaobao did not give this to anyone else. In the future, when he left, he would let a few people in Zhuangzi remember one thing. Only when the items of a few people were put together could the recipe be made. If someone really stole the recipe, they could only blame themselves for not being strict enough. The other matters of the manor remained unchanged, but they would leave behind a person specifically in charge of management. Zhang Xiaobao began to learn the things Wang Wan wrote for him. Wang Wan trained the guards in the courtyard, with Huzi as the leader. There were 16 people in total. They wore the same clothes and were diligently training according to Wang Wan's instructions. It was a hot day. Standing in the courtyard, there was no shelter. The sun directly shone on the 16 people. Their clothes had long been soaked through by sweat. However, if they did not meet the requirements, they could not stop. There was rock sugar and mung bean soup on the side. After practicing for an hour, they would drink 2 big bowls. There was no need to worry about heat stroke. Wang Wan, who was shouting commands, and Zhang Xiaobao, who was studying, sat under the shelter. They were eating ice cream and shouting at the same time. Ever since they got the fans, the two of them developed an egg beater. After adding milk and cooling, the ice cream would be produced. It was the very pure kind. Look to the right in a row. Look forward in a row. That's all for today. It's the first day. The requirements are not strict. Don't stand in a row. Go back and think about it. We'll continue tomorrow. Dismissed. Wang Wan held a bowl with ice cream in one hand and a spoon in the other. She used her tongue to lick the ice cream in her mouth and lectured with a serious expression. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head helplessly. It was the first time he saw such an instructor. It would be better if she smeared some mud on her face and made it into a flowery face. Coupled with the action of snorting, which army in the world could command a group of people to walk in a row? Which army in the world could be more strict than the Zhang family's Meow Protection Team? The 16 people were already exhausted. Finally, the young lady showed mercy and let them go. However, when they heard the young lady's words, they were so scared that they almost fell to the ground. Wasn't this not strict requirements? One by one, they were either standing or walking. Their backs were already aching and their legs were cramping. Huzi felt that as the captain, he should help his team members get some benefits, so he said, "Young lady, can we get a big shed tomorrow and practice under the shed? If our faces are exposed to the sun like this, our skin will burst." "Oh, you're afraid of the sun? Okay, we'll start tomorrow morning. We'll practice on the paved sand road outside. The wind in the courtyard is small, and it's stuffy. There are so many flowers and plants, and it's humid. It's better to practice on the road outside. That road has been paved with stones, so it's flat and ventilated." After listening to Huzi's words, Wang Wan gave him a chance to show that he cared about his team members as the captain. They would change the place starting tomorrow. The other 15 people looked at Huzi differently. The courtyard was just a little bit sunny. The ground was bluestone, and there was water flowing by. There were also flowers and plants, and there was also the wind blowing from the pond. It was not bad. There was no wind outside, and even if there was, it would be hot. The sun on the road was already hot enough. When they looked at it in the afternoon, it was like looking at a flame fluctuating back and forth. How hot was that? Huzi, you're fine. Why didn't you take a shower after disbanding? Why did you say that? Huzi was dumbfounded. He did not need to look to know how the other 15 people looked at him. He also knew what they were thinking. That was not what he meant. Okay, why are you still standing there like idiots? Train hard. When you're done, I'll give you a chance to teach others. There are 40 people in Elm Village waiting for you. I'll train them like I train you. Wang Wan did not seem to notice the bitter expressions on their faces as he continued to speak. As soon as he said this, the 16 of them perked up, thinking about how they felt during training today, and then thinking about how they would train others in the future. A special smile appeared on their faces. None of the military instructors are good people. Zhang Xiaobao, who was waiting to ask a few questions he did not know, saw the expressions of the guards, shook his head, and muttered with a sigh. Zhang Xiaobao, you're not allowed to slander such a serious matter. To be able to become a qualified instructor is a kind of honor. Their smile is a smile of honor. In 2 days, we'll also train with them. Then you'll understand the principle of first bitterness, then sweetness, and first tiredness, then glory. Wang Wan heard this, holding the bowl of ice cream. She turned around and said solemnly. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. I can feel it. In a few days, let them train in only their underwear and tan. That's a sign of glory. We need to let them get used to the seaside in advance. If they don't get tanned, it will affect the job of protecting the seedlings. As for us, we don't need to train with them, right? There's no point. We'll just train ourselves. The next morning, Huzi and the others dragged their bodies, which had not fully recovered, and were really brought to the road outside by Wang Wan. The 16 of them stood in 4 rows and were not allowed to move at all. Chapter 381. With a splash, a big watermelon was pulled out of the well. Li Sun struggled to carry it to the table under a big tree by the roadside. He picked up the knife next to him and stabbed it hard. With a crack, a big hole appeared in the middle of the watermelon, and 2 black seeds flew out from it. After a few more cuts, the whole watermelon was divided into pieces. Zhang Xiaobao picked up 2 pieces first, handed one to Wang Wan, and took a bite. Sweet. There is nothing in it. A normal ripe watermelon is really sweet. As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao looked up and breathed out. He looked very comfortable. Wang Wan also took a big bite, and the red juice was on both sides of her mouth. She narrowed her eyes with satisfaction and said, "Finally, there is nothing in it. It is really delicious. It is cool and thirst-quenching. Our shaved ice can also be made into a watermelon flavor." Li Sun, on the other hand, was eating much more quietly. She took small bites when she heard Xiaobao and Wang Wan's conversation. Puzzled, she asked, "Xiaobao, could it be that there's something else that can be put into this cold melon?" "Yes, you can put sugar or something red. Take it off in advance and cover it with a quilt. We don't need to eat this. You should have a lot of it at home, right? Tomorrow, bring 2 carts here. When we finish eating this melon, don't throw away the skin and seeds. You can still cook them." It was not easy for Zhang Xiaobao to eat a melon, especially the first melon. It was memorable. He was going to mix the green part of the melon skin into a cold dish. Li Sun hesitated for a moment. "This melon has been bitten by others. Isn't it a little bad to make a dish out of it? Cut off the bitten part first and make a cold dish with the rest. Put some sugar and vinegar in it. It is sweet and sour. If you don't want to eat it, don't fight with us." After Zhang Xiaobao said this, he continued to eat 1 piece after another, not caring if he would get a stomachache. He only stopped when he couldn't eat anymore. He rubbed his stomach back and forth, occasionally burping. Wang Wan also ate a lot. Fortunately, when she saw Zhang Xiaobao's appearance, she controlled herself in advance and didn't eat too much. She put down the melon rind in her hand, washed her face and hands in the prepared basin next to her, and said loudly to the people on the road who were shouting slogans, "Train well. When you're done, I'll give you some melons. I'll use the melons from Welltown. Just 1 bite, and it'll be sweet to your heart." It would have been better if she didn't shout, as the 56 people could hold on. Once she finished shouting, Huzi among the 56 people couldn't stand it anymore. He had been shouting slogans just now and wanted to follow them. His throat was already smoking. When he heard that there would be melons to eat, he felt that the sun above his head was bigger, his feet were heavier, and it was more difficult to breathe. This was already the 5th training. It had been 5 days in a row. At first, they thought it would be easy to get through it, but they were exhausted on the first day. In the following days, the requirements were stricter and the weather was hotter and hotter. Before they could become instructors, for people from Elm Village came to report. They hadn't practiced well, so they couldn't be instructors. They could only train with 40 people. Huzi was in charge of shouting slogans. They had already been walking for 2 hours today, and they still hadn't stopped. Everyone was on the verge of collapsing, and their clothes were already soaked. However, their walking movements were not standard. When she shouted to turn left, 1/3 of the people actually turned in the wrong direction, which made Wang Wan very dissatisfied. Therefore, she let them drink some mung bean porridge and practice for an hour. Only then could they rest for a while. Now, Wang Wan was still shouting for them to eat watermelon. They all felt that their hearts were about to burst into flames. Li Sun was also watching from the side. He really couldn't understand what Wang Wan was doing. This training idea was Wang Wan's, and she was also the one who asked them to do those movements. In Li Sun's opinion, these movements were worse than the drill of soldiers. They weren't wearing any armor or holding any weapons. They were just walking back and forth. It seemed like they couldn't train soldiers. With doubts in his heart, Li Sun wiped his hands with a handkerchief and asked Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "You want to train soldiers? You can't use this method. It's useless. When it comes to war, these people don't even know how to use weapons. What army? It's just making them stand in a line. It'll look interesting and tidy. When the time comes, they'll just go out and support the scene. There's no war. If there's a war, we won't be needed. We're far away from the places where we can fight. Zhang Xiaobao naturally wouldn't tell Li Sun that these people would be specially used to protect the Zhang family and Wang family in the future. This kind of training now wasn't to train combat strength, but to cultivate cohesion and a firm attitude towards carrying out orders. At the same time, it could also cultivate willpower. He just casually explained. If it was someone else who said this, Li Sun would have believed it. But since it was Xiao Bao who said it, he had to carefully ponder over it. He suspected that there were traces of an expert behind these people's training. If that was the case, then there must be a deeper meaning behind it. It seemed that he had to learn from this. Thinking of this, he asked, "Just these orders? Are there any that haven't been given? I'll go there and let people practice for fun. When the time comes, let's see if all the people I'm training can leave together or if all your people are orderly." Oh, young Master Li also wants to learn. Okay, then we'll have a competition. There are also some commands that can be taught now. They haven't figured out these commands yet. If I teach them too many, they'll be even more confused. Later, I'll write down some commands and draw pictures for you. How's our supermarket? The supermarket in Huaiyuan County hasn't been repaired yet. It's still being repaired. When we came back, we took a look at Sanshui County. They've already started delivering goods. You passed by here. Did you go to take a look? Yes, don't mention it. It opened yesterday, and I want to take a look. Taking advantage of the competition, there were indeed many people who went in. Every one of them looked fresh. The rich people also bought some things. But there was actually an ordinary person's family. I saw her going to the butcher's place and buying 1 or 2 grams of meat at a time. This is nothing. We can sell it for 1 tael. When other people buy things, they usually wrap it in oil paper and give a paper bag at the end for convenience. She actually bought half a kilogram of meat consecutively. Every time it was 1 tael. Not only did she use 10 pieces of oil paper and 10 hemp ropes, she even took 10 bags from the supermarket. What's the meaning of this? What's the use of torturing others? In the end, I sent someone to ask. You can't even guess the reason why she took those paper bags. She said she was going home to give it to her son to practice calligraphy. She came here to get paper. Li Sun was a little depressed as he talked about the situation in the supermarket. In addition to the person who bought half a kilogram of meat in 10 portions, there were some people who were selling other things. For example, when buying rice, there were some people who were very careful. There were even people who wanted to steal things when there were so many people. Fortunately, they arranged some people to follow others in pretending to buy things. They also put people in key places to watch. There was a scholar who was caught stealing sausages. He insisted that he brought them in himself. What was more infuriating was that there were people who didn't take the sausages out. They just ate the sausages secretly. Zhang Xiaobao was originally not confident in his heart. After listening to Li Sun's words, he thought for a while and said, "It seems that we have to change the rules. In the future, the paper bags will be more exquisite. We will sell them for 1 copper coin each. If there are people who really want to buy something and don't have a basket, they can buy it for 1 copper coin. As for the other people who go in and out 10 times, if they want to buy, they have to bring their own tools. At most, we will give them 2 pieces of oil paper. There is no need to think about the paper bags. There are also some places to eat, some more people there. If they want to buy something, they can just pay there. As for those who bring things in themselves, catch them. It's not like there is no place to deposit them." Deposit? Don't even mention deposit. There are many people who don't want to buy anything. They just want to go in and see something new. In the end, they bring a live chicken to the deposit place. It's not easy to control them at all. We can't put a few chicken cages in the deposit place, right? Then what if someone drives a pig here? Li Sun was also very dissatisfied with the deposit situation. Zhang Xiaobao was speechless for a while. He could only sigh at those people's valiance. Wang Wan said at the side, "In the future, there will be a rule that no living things are allowed to be deposited. When they are deposited, they don't care if the things are spoiled or not. At most, they will be allowed to be stored for a day. If it is more than a day, it will be treated as if the depositor doesn't want it anymore and the supermarket will deal with it. Otherwise, if someone deposits a kilogram of tofu and leaves it for a few days and doesn't come to pick it up, won't it become stinky tofu?" Wang Wan is right. We can't do it all at once. If there is a problem, we will think of a way to solve it. We will find more people to discuss it. When the time comes, we will be able to build the supermarket. What about the shipping company? Zhang Xiaobao also had the idea of dealing with some things that might happen. Li Sun only sighed. They couldn't tear down the supermarket. The things inside were cheap. Yesterday, he saw many people queuing up to buy things. Whether it was for the pictures, novelty, or a real need, it was fine to just buy it. When people gradually got used to this place, they could come to buy things in the future. Hearing Zhang Xiaobao ask about the ship business, he was no longer as gloomy as before. He said happily, I found a few more people who were willing to do business with us. After Mi Fan was released, I took care of the ship business. I even sent a few people who were good at making ships to do some work at the shipyard you guys were at. The big ship has already started to be built. Based on the speed, it will be able to enter the sea next summer. We can't go too far now. We can only go around the place where the Yellow River enters the sea. Then don't worry. Remember to bring Mi Fan along when you go out to sea. If you find that he is uncomfortable, then the people on the ship have to be careful. Are there many people who went to sign up for the 3 workshops and the craftsman school to cooperate with him? Are there many people who came from outside? Zhang Xiaobao was preparing to do something big. He was afraid that he would be tied down by other things. He could only ask one by one to see if there was anything else that he needed to handle personally. Chapter 382. Speaking of boats, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly thought of something. He asked Li Sun, what do boats look like now? Do you have a ship with wheels? Wheels? Why do boats have wheels? Li Sun didn't understand. It means that as long as there are wheels, the ship can move forward, backward, and turn, Zhang Xiaobao added. No, there are sails and oars. Who would use wheels? It's not like we're on land. Don't tell me you want to put a few wheels on the boat and use horses to pull it like a carriage when we're on land? A small boat is fine, but a big boat is too heavy. If it's dragged on the ground, the axle will be crushed. You have to make more or less wheels. Li Sun thought Zhang Xiaobao was bored and came up with this idea. He used a melon to draw what would happen if he wanted to put wheels on the boat. Zhang Xiaobao also picked up a melon skin and pointed to the side. You see the bicycle cuckoo, and I have, right? If we put big wheels on both sides of the boat, like a water wheel, and there are people inside who step on the axle like a bicycle, then the boat can move. Li Sun looked and thought about it. He nodded and said, it's possible, but it's useless. With oars and sails, how can the boat be slower than wheels? After putting wheels, it won't be easy to use oars, right? It'll be fun to make. Fun? How can it be fun? What do you think is the most important thing in a water battle? When both sides have the same number of people, the same weapons, the same commanding generals, and the same combat abilities, what will decide the outcome? That's right. That's right. That's right. Zhang Xiaobao finally thought of a revolutionary idea. How could he give up? He continued to persuade Li Sun. Li Sun was stumped by this question. If everything was the same, then what would determine the outcome? Is it luck? While the two sides were fighting on the water, the sky was covered with dark clouds. A big lightning bolt fell and hit the boat of one of the generals, setting the boat on fire. The general was burned to death, or jumped into the water and couldn't command. Then he lost. Would it be better to use a wheeled boat? Li Sun thought for a while, but couldn't figure it out. He could only attribute it to luck. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan laughed almost at the same time. Li Sun was really too humorous, and he even smashed down a big thunder. Why don't you just say which side the heavens don't like? Wouldn't it be better to just stretch out a hand from the heavens and crush them to death? Formations are not allowed in water battles. Is it easy for a boat to turn on the water? A small boat was easy, but a large ship wouldn't be so easy, right? Using a wheeled boat, not only can it turn quickly, it can even turn from forward to backward at the critical moment. Think about it. When a ship is charging towards the fleet, it suddenly speeds up, or the other party uses a trick to lure it to the front. When the other ships are about to surround it, this ship that should have circled around to make a turn suddenly stops and starts to retreat. What do you think the consequences will be? Zhang Xiaobao told Li Sun a situation that would happen on the battlefield. Then wouldn't the other party have wasted their efforts? Moreover, that part of the formation will be disrupted and readjusted. This time, it will be fatal. Li Sun finally understood Zhang Xiaobao's meaning and said in shock. Not only that, there's also turning. As long as one wheel doesn't turn and the other wheel turns, the boat should be able to turn on the spot and move however it wants. It's very flexible. You can get someone to figure out a rough frame and make it into a small boat. When the small boat is ready on the water, you can make a big one. First, make one for my family. It's best if you can make it quickly so that my father can use it when he goes out to take up a post. Zhang Xiaobao made a turning motion with his hand to show the watermelon peel to Li Sun to see clearly. Li Sun kept nodding. He no longer had the expression of thinking that Zhang Xiaobao had nothing better to do. He was now shocked. When he understood the mobility of this boat, he understood how useful it would be in water battles. It wasn't necessary to say that all boats were like this. The original warships could weave in and out of water battles with this wheeled boat, making it impossible to guard against. Such an important matter was not something he could manage. He had to tell his father first, and then let his father do it. Thinking of this, Li Sun said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Xiaobao, even if that boat is made, I may not give it to your family. If your boat is stolen and learn to make it, then will our country still have the advantage on the water?" Stolen and learned? As long as this kind of boat is made, people will know. Can you make everyone on this boat keep their mouths shut? If you don't give it to my family, I won't tell you the changes later. There are still good things later. Zhang Xiaobao didn't think that there was anything to keep secret about this boat. As long as it was made, someone would test it and equip it in the army. Ordinary people might not care about this, but countries with intentions would definitely know. If they really wanted to learn to make it, they would be able to make it after thinking about it for a while. The key to this boat wasn't the technology, but the thinking. As for people stealing his family's boat, his family wouldn't go to the sea. Who could steal in Great Tang? How could they leave after stealing? The boat had to be on water. He was determined to get this boat. Li Sun didn't know whether to agree or not, especially after what Zhang Xiaobao said. He had already attributed the boat's matter to that expert. He felt that the expert must have told Zhang Xiaobao and asked Zhang Xiaobao to tell him. A few days ago, the Minister of Works came and took the Book of Nature away. It seemed that the expert had a lot of skills in this area. "Xiaobao, I can't agree to this directly. I'll go back in a while and give me a copy of your training. To be honest, this boat might not be built in our shipyard. Both the Ministry of War and the Ministry of Works will have ideas on this. They'll build theirs, and we'll build ours. Maybe we'll be done before they do. It's best to find some boats first and try to see if they can be modified. My family needs it urgently. Remember to add a wheel at the stern of the boat. It'll be faster. Can you find more good steel? If you can, send it to my family. It's useful." When Xiaobao thought about the wheels at the back, he thought of the fans in his restaurant. The fans had low requirements, and there was no need to worry about the parts breaking. There was a power conversion process between the gears and the shaft. If the conversion was done well, one rotation on one side could result in many rotations on the other side. If it was used at the back of the ship, if the wheel was replaced with a propeller, what would the speed be like by using manpower to transmit and change the force? No matter what, it would be better than the wheel directly. If one wanted to make a propeller, they needed good steel. It didn't need to be big enough to directly push a big boat forward, as long as it could be used to assist. They could use the casting method to make the balls of the bearings. As long as it could withstand one battle, it would be enough. At worst, they could change it. Li Sun didn't know why Zhang Xiaobao wanted good steel, but he knew that anything the Zhang family wanted must be useful. Maybe they could make something that could scare people to death. After thinking for a while, he said, "I don't have enough. I'll ask someone to find out when I go back. Right now, we're using coal, and the iron we make is not bad. If it really doesn't work, I'll ask someone to refine the iron a few more times and see if we can get the kind that your family wants. That needs to be done as soon as possible. Cuckoo and I will go and get the training material for you. You eat first, and I'll give it to you later." Zhang Xiaobao's purpose was achieved. He walked back to the yamen with Wang Wan. Before leaving, he didn't forget to tell the training people to disperse. The 56 people felt like they had been pardoned. They didn't care about the sweat on their bodies, but rushed to the well and began to take out the watermelons. They didn't use knives, but directly smashed open with their fists. They put their faces on the watermelon and ate it. When their faces left the watermelon, they wiped it with their hands and shouted to vent the anger in their hearts. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went back to the yamen and began to tidy up. Wang Wan was responsible for the painting, and Zhang Xiaobao helped to think of a few suitable slogans. The two of them worked for half an hour before they finished. Xiaobao, when we leave here, who will we take with us? Will we take Song Jinggong? There are people watching over here. So who will we leave? Also, you have to make arrangements for the people from the Han family's manor and the Yuan family's manor who joined later. You can't just let the people from the Zhang family's manor have the means to earn money. When the two of them walked back, Wang Wan thought of the two new people from Zhuangzi. They couldn't favor one and discriminate against the other, so she asked Zhang Xiaobao to think of a way. Zhang Xiaobao was also worried about this matter. He couldn't let the two people from Zhuangzi sell roast chicken at the same time. Then, what could be a long-term way to make money that the people from Zhuangzi could use? Don't worry, let me think about it. I can't think of anything right now, and there's still some time before my father leaves. Zhang Xiaobao thought hard for a while, but finally gave up. When the two of them returned to the tree, Li Sun was fiddling with a few watermelon skins, adjusting the direction back and forth, either forward or backward. It seemed that he was preparing to simulate a naval battle, but he didn't know much about it. Take it. Remember to get someone to send the finished boat to my house first. Zhang Xiaobao said as he handed the paper over to Li Sun. As long as my father agrees, I'll send the boat to your house. I'll go back first, and in 2 days I'll buy a house in Huaiyuan County. When I'm free, I'll come and visit you guys. Li Sun took the paper and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He got into his car and told the driver to speed up towards the pier. He had already decided that he couldn't be too far away from Zhangjia Zhuangzi. Originally, he made a book of nature, and now there was a new thing. Maybe more things would appear, so he had to stay here. Chapter 383. Hurry up. Someone hurry back to the state capital and ask the state capital to send troops and ships to pick us up. All guards, listen to my order. Don't let anyone near us. If anyone tries to force their way in, shoot them to death on the spot. Li Sun, who was sitting in the car, was looking at the training methods. Suddenly, she saw that the last 2 pages were not training methods. Instead, it was a diagram of the wheels. There was also a diagram of the axle connecting the wheels, as well as a diagram of the feet. She was so scared that she trembled. She put the paper into her bosom and became nervous. Then, she began to give instructions outside. For a moment, he felt that anyone would want to snatch the 2 pieces of paper from him. They were treasures and could not be lost. At the same time, he blamed Zhang Xiaobao. Why did he have to give the paper to him at this time? When he returned, he should have asked more people to protect him. Following Li Sun's order, a rider outside jumped out of the troop and went upstream by land. The other guards took out their crossbows and looked around vigilantly, as if they were facing a great enemy. The journey, which should have taken 4 hours, took less than 2 hours. Li Sun arrived at the dock and boarded his own boat. He also ordered the rowers to go back as fast as possible and raise the sails. The sky gradually darkened. Li Sun had no intention of resting. He asked someone to prepare a meal and ate absent-mindedly. From time to time, he would take out the clairvoyance to see if there were any lights of the restaurant between the clouds and the water ahead. Seeing that it was almost midnight, the clairvoyance finally showed some charming lights. Some were floating in the water, some were twinkling in the sky. The lights in the water were boats, and the ones in the sky were Kongming lanterns. There was a rope tied to the bottom. Every night, it would be lit and floated. After a period of time, when the oil inside was almost used up, it would be replaced. Good, as long as we're here. Li Sun saw the lights and was temporarily relieved. He took a handful of pumpkin seeds and ate them. When the boat stopped between the clouds and the water, Li Sun directly jumped onto the shore and asked someone to escort him to the academy. When he arrived, he saw Bai Ho there. "Old Minister Bai, can you lend me your guards for a while? I'll return them to you when I reach Jingshui." Li Sun saw the old man and directly told him his intention. The old man looked at Li Sun and sized him up carefully. What? Someone wants to harm the little prince? Who is so bold? You can stay here tonight. I'll see who dares to come. Call over the Yamen runners who are guarding this place. Old minister, I'm afraid. I can't let anything happen to me. Otherwise, someone may get something that they shouldn't. Li Sun knew that if she didn't make things clear, the old man wouldn't easily lend them to her. What if he wanted to do something with these people? Left with no other choice, Li Sun simply took out the talisman from his bosom and showed the other two to the old man. Li Sun, on the other hand, was talking about the benefits of such a boat and how useful it could be in a water battle. These were all his thoughts, and he wasn't sure if they were correct. At first, the old man was puzzled. He didn't understand when he saw the drawings on the paper. As Li Sun's introduction, the old man suddenly became nervous. He opened his hands and pressed hard on the two papers. He asked Li Sun, "Where did they come from? Who else knows? Where else could they come from? I want to see Xiao Bao and Cuckoo," and gave them melons. While eating, Xiao Bao asked me if I had a boat with wheels. Then I told him. It became like this. On the way back, I saw these two drawings. Old minister, you can't just leave me be. I've been on tenterhooks all the way here. I didn't even have a good meal. I can't say whether I'm full or hungry now. Why don't I stay here? Then the Yamen runners, you, and my guards should be fine. I'll go back when my father sends his soldiers. Li Sun told the old man what had happened. In the end, he wanted to stay. He was really afraid that someone would rob him. When the old man heard that it was from the Zhang family, his face calmed down. He said with an expression of foresight, "I knew it. Only the Zhang family has this kind of ability. The advantage of this kind of boat is not only for naval battles, but also for transportation. It can be inserted into the dock between other boats and can be withdrawn at any time. Normally, a 2-zhang wide river can't accommodate a 2-zhang long boat. If you force it, it will be very difficult to turn around. The bigger the boat, the more troublesome it is. It's not strange for a 50-zhang long boat to turn around in a 50-zhang wide river. If it's a boat like this, it's much easier. It can control the direction at any time. You're going to talk to the prince, aren't you? That's good. When the time comes, the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of War will fight for it. The people from the Military Weapons Administration might also intervene. You can't do that dock and the boat you got later. You'll be criticized on one side." Can't do it? But Xiao Bao said that the Zhang family wants one. He said that when the time comes, his father can ride on it when he goes to work. Li Sun was still worried about this matter. The Zhang family came up with the idea and the map. If he didn't let them use it, it didn't seem right. If it was an ordinary family, he would have directly arrested them and sent them to the Yamen. They would only be allowed to stay in the permitted areas. They wouldn't have to worry about food and necessities. But who would dare to take the map that the Zhang family took out? Let's not talk about others. I'll be the first to worry about it. How should I get the boat? Li Sun had no choice but to talk to the old man and ask for his help. The old man didn't know what to do. He was also worried. If he didn't give it to the Zhang family this time, would the Zhang family be able to come up with better things in the future? Even if they did, they wouldn't take it out. This was the most important thing. Who knew how many more good things the Zhang family had? Li Sun said again, "Old minister, can you get some good steel?" Xiao Bao said that he wants it. He has a big use for it. We'll talk about the boat when the time comes. Let's build it first. If it really doesn't work, we can steal one for the Zhang family. I don't believe that the Zhang family will let others snatch the boat away. I'll ask about the steel. There won't be a lot. Think about it. Li Sun's words worked. When the old man heard that there was a big use for it, it must be something good. If they didn't give the boat away, the other party wouldn't take it out. It was useless to be anxious. That kind of person had a bad temper. They could catch others, but not the person behind the Zhang family. It wasn't that they were afraid of what would happen if they caught him. They were afraid that if they didn't catch him, that person would help another country in a fit of anger. Their country would suffer a great loss. Countless prescriptions were taken out and used for the people's livelihood. The clairvoyance that he learned from the nature book could be used in the military. Now, the boat was also used in the military. He was almost an all-rounder. Whoever forced him away would be a sinner for eternity. Even if they died 100 times, it wouldn't be enough to atone for their sins. Li Sun had already expected the old man to say this. The Zhang family was a treasure. He had to protect them. Seeing that someone was helping him, his mood improved. Old minister, should I travel through the night or stay here tonight? There's no hurry. What's written on the paper in front of you? The old man's hand was still on the 2 pieces of paper. He remembered that Li Sun had taken out a piece of paper earlier. Something fun. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo said that they were training their family's guards. They stood in line and walked. It looked very interesting. They also found 40 people from Elm Village to play with them. They said that it would look good when they went out. I wanted to come and learn from them. It's not that useful. Li Sun put the few pieces of paper in front of the old man. The old man took them and looked at them carefully. He found that they were indeed very simple. Some of the movements had to be neat, and their voices had to be loud when they shouted the slogan. They had to practice for a longer time, stand for a longer time, and the weather was hotter. As long as they didn't make any mistakes, it was fine. For a moment, the old man really felt that Li Sun was right. It was something fun, and it could also make the ceremony look good. Just as the old man was about to put it down, he suddenly froze. He looked at it carefully again and said, "It's not that useful? Would something from the Zhang family be useless?" "Old minister, do you have other opinions?" Li Sun really didn't see anything wrong with it. This isn't training any guards at all. It's clearly training an army. In such hot weather, they can endure not moving at all. They can stand in a neat formation. They can shout the slogan so loudly. Give them MO swords. What do you think they can do when they encounter a battle formation? Finally, the old man discovered something surprising from these playful things. Li Sun originally didn't think about this. At this time, when he heard it, he murmured, "What will they do?" Naturally, the swords will stand like a forest, advancing and retreating according to orders. No wonder they have to turn back, turn left, and turn right. It turns out that they are waiting for this. Fortunately, I am smart. If I can learn something from the Zhang family, I will learn it. Otherwise, I will miss it. Xiao Bao is too bad. He lied to me and said that Cuckoo was playing with it. No, I will leave tonight. The earlier I go back, the earlier I can come back. If I live next to his house, maybe there is something I haven't seen yet. After Li Sun mentioned it, the old man also thought of the appearance of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. When he imagined the situation when he lied to Li Sun, he couldn't help but laugh. After laughing, he directly spread out the paper, dipped the brush in ink, and copied the drawing. He then said to Li Sun, "Wait for me for a while. I will send this painting up. My guards will protect you when you leave. Also, there are bailiffs here. Since you are taking the waterway, bring along the bailiffs and the water. You can stay there and tell me if you encounter any problems. Unfortunately, it is too far away. When his house is almost finished, I will also move there. It will be convenient to teach the 2 children. If I don't see them for a day, I will miss them. I don't know if the 2 children will miss me." Li Sun couldn't refuse, so he could only sit and wait. When he heard the old man's words, he didn't believe it at all. They were in contact with each other every day. How could he not know what was going on? It was nothing more than seeing that the person behind the Zhang family had made a move again, so he wanted to go and find out first. The old man was writing and drawing. After writing a few pages, he paused and said to Li Sun, "This time, the Zhang family has made a great contribution. If things don't go well, they might be retained by the emperor. Your family should also put in some effort. It is still too early for Zhang Zhong to enter the imperial court." "Old minister, don't worry. I will tell my father. I don't know what will happen if I send Zhang Zhong to that poor place." Chapter 384. The water from the river continued to pour into the newly formed lake from the canal. The lake water was not as muddy as it was at the beginning. Rowing a boat on it, one could occasionally see fish swimming in it. 56 people were soaking in the shallow water. Those who knew how to swim swam deeper from time to time, while those who did not know how to swim opened their arms in the water, bobbing up and down. Only their heads were exposed, and they looked nervous. When you're in the water, remember, don't think of the water as something that will take your life. You have to be close to it, just like the mighty wind blowing. Feel its existence, or treat the water as your friend. Don't ever have any thoughts of fear. You can't avoid swimming. You have to learn everything. When we leave, not only do you know how to swim, you have to be good at it. Even if your legs cramp, you can still float on the water, just like Xiao Bao. Even if you tie him up and throw him into the water, he won't sink. He can sleep on the water. Wang Wan stepped on the water with her feet, and her two hands were gesturing as she spoke. Her chest was exposed above the water, and if she exerted a little strength with her feet, everything above the navel would be exposed. Zhang Xiaobao lay beside her, put his two arms behind his head, and raised his head Weiwei, floating motionlessly. The 56 people in the water quietly listened to Wang Wan's explanation. Wang Wan did not teach them the most correct swimming posture, how to swim faster, and how to cooperate with the summoning of qi. Instead, she helped those who did not know how to swim to eliminate the fear of falling into the water. Many children can swim briskly in the water. Some of them are even a few months old children who don't know anything and they won't drown. It's not that they can swim well, they don't know how to swim at all. They just don't think there's anything to be afraid of in the water, so they relax their bodies. In the relatively calm water, they won't sink. Wang Wan continued. At the same time, she stopped treading water and closed Weiwei's eyes. Her body began to sink into the water. Just as her head was submerged, her body floated up again. This was an example. A guard from the inner courtyard looked at them enviously. He didn't know how to swim and had been afraid of water ever since he was young. When he saw that other people could stay in the water so easily, he also wanted to try that feeling. It must be very comfortable. Learning from Wang Wan, he also leaned back. Just as he leaned back, he couldn't help but stop. He struggled a few times in the water before he could stand firm and feel better. However, his eyes turned red and he coughed nonstop. He pinched his nose and blew his nose vigorously. Wang Wan turned her head to look and knew that he had choked. The guard looked troubled and said to Wang Wan, "Little girl, I also know that I have to relax, but I'm just afraid. I feel like I will die if I raise my head. What should I do?" Wang Wan sighed and muttered to Zhang Xiaobao, "If only there was a water mirror." When people first learn to swim, one of the fears comes from the pressure of the water, and the other is that they don't dare to open their eyes in the water. In the dark water, people will be nervous. Find someone to hold him and let his legs and arms move gently by themselves. Slowly let go of his hands, and he will float up. It's like some people who first learn how to ride a bicycle. They grab the handlebars and pedal hard. Someone behind them will help them run. After running for a while, they will let go of their hands. After a few tries, the cyclist will get the feeling. Zhang Xiaobao was a little unhappy. It was not that others could not learn to swim, but he felt that the guard did not have enough courage. If it was Wang Wan's female special operations team, not to mention water, they would dare to go through mountains of swords and seas of fire. Orders were above all. It seemed that such a guard would need to be trained for a long time. Wang Wan also understood Zhang Xiaobao's thoughts. In the future, it will be fine after more practice. In fact, at the beginning, I was also afraid, but I can't back down. I represent glory, which is more important than life. Then in the future, let's instill more thoughts like this. Make some medals of honor, so that they will always remember that honor is their life. Continue teaching. When they can swim, we'll make a special field for them to cultivate their swimming ability. Zhang Xiaobao turned his face, blew a burst of bubbles in the water, turned over, and said to Wang Wan. Wang Wan nodded and found a few people who knew how to swim. She whispered a few words into their ears, and the few people came to the side of the people who did not know how to swim. She said to them that she would support them in the water. The first person who was found was the one who was the most timid. He was held in the water and slowly relaxed. His hands and feet moved gently in the water, and his body began to move little by little in the direction of his head. As he moved, the person who was holding him let go of his hand. The other people who could not swim were surprised to see that person floating away by himself. They all showed a look of realization and were also very excited. That person floated. Because his ears were in the middle of the conversation, he couldn't hear anything else. His eyes looked at the blue sky, and his body felt the cool water. He became even more relaxed. Once he relaxed, he retracted his hand, and his legs stopped moving. He became bolder and had the urge to stand up in the water. As a result, his head left the surface of the water. He lifted his upper body, and with a plop, he repeated the same flopping motion as before. After drinking 2 mouthfuls of water, he steadied himself. The difference this time was that he no longer looked sad. Instead, he was very excited and shouted to Wang Wan, "Little master, little miss, I can float. The feeling is so comfortable. The sky is so blue. Lying on the water, there is an indescribable feeling." Even if Zhang Xiaobao was angry just now, he had to encourage him. "Well, not bad. You learned swimming on your first try. You have to work harder in the future." The effect of this sentence was not small. Not only did this person summon up the courage to lean back and successfully float on the surface of the water once again, those who did not know how to swim were brave enough to imitate him and lean back. A few of them really did float up. Even those who were still nervous and did not float up did not lose their confidence and asked the people beside them to help support them. Thus, there was no need for Wang Wan to say anything else. Out of the 56 people, more than 30 of them who didn't know how to swim worked hard to learn. They didn't dare to go into the deep water and only learned in the shallow water where they could stand up straight. They succeeded one after another. In the deep water, there were people who could swim to help them. This way, those who just learned would not have to worry about accidentally swimming to the deep water and drowning. Lying in the water, feeling the wind, feeling the blue sky and white clouds, feeling the coolness of the water, the feeling of challenging oneself and succeeding made them feel so wonderful. There was even a feeling of addiction. Wang Wan lay in the water and rested her head on Zhang Xiaobao's stomach. She said with relief, "They are actually not bad. It's just that they lack a little power in the beginning. They can swim well in the lake. When they reach the sea, the buoyancy is stronger and it is much easier to swim. Tomorrow, we will build a special place for them to artificially make them cramp and let them adapt. Well, increase the weight training in the water. It is not enough to just float on their own." Zhang Xiaobao also approved of these people. The 56 people swam in the water for 2 hours and then began to train on the shore. The weather in the afternoon was a little hotter. The 56 people did not wear so many layers of clothes. They only wore the tight pants used for swimming and ran along the lake. They had to adapt to the heat in advance. Otherwise, when they encountered the sea, they would lose a layer of skin each time they went down. 3 days later, they dug out several swimming pools that were 20 zhang long and 15 zhang wide. There was sand at the bottom of the pool. According to the size of the pool, 56 people were divided into groups. Those who were about the same height were placed in a swimming pool to train. After jumping in, the water just happened to reach the neck. There were several simple methods to make people cramp. They could use abnormal strength in the area that they wanted to cramp. They could alternate between cold and hot, or they could also be tired. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not intend to use the first 2 methods, so they only chose the third method. A backpack was added to each person's body. When the backpack was filled with sand, it weighed about 5 to 6 caddies. This weight was nothing on flat ground, but for people who had just learned how to swim in the water, a few caddies of weight would make it impossible for them to swim even with the buoyancy of the water. Everyone can start swimming. Those who can't swim, walk with all your strength in the water. When you reach the end, turn back and continue walking until you have cramps. Properly experience the feeling of wanting to swim in the water when you have cramps. Wang Wan stood beside the swimming pool and said to the 56 people who had already entered the water. The 56 people were also clear that in the future, the young master and young lady would take them to other places. They would be of great use, so each and every one of them seriously prepared. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan went to see how the road was being repaired, they began to swim in the swimming pool with all their strength. Those who didn't know how to swim hadn't had cramps yet, but those who knew how to swim had cramps first. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan taught them some standard swimming postures, but they didn't intend to let them completely follow the standard swimming postures. After swimming continuously with weights for half an hour, the 56 people all had cramps. Some of them had cramps in their hands, some in their legs and feet. This kind of pain wasn't something that ordinary people could endure, and they were no exception. After having cramps, they couldn't swim anymore. They could only grit their teeth and endure the pain, constantly adjusting to reduce the cramps a little. After feeling it for a while, they used the emergency method taught by Wang Wan to save themselves. Fortunately, the water was shallow, so they didn't have to worry about being drowned. These people only felt uncomfortable and didn't have too much fear. How is it? Have you experienced all of it? You have to get used to this kind of thing. Otherwise, once you have cramps in the deep water, you can lose your life. In the future, carry out normal training and swimming training every day. After getting used to it, the frequency of cramps will basically decrease. Tomorrow, I will teach you a set of stretching exercises. Practice it every night. Even if you have cramps, you can immediately adjust. If the cramps are not too serious, you can even enjoy the feeling of cramps. After walking around for a while, Wang Wan said to the people who had already come ashore to do various kinds of massages. Chapter 385. When night fell, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and the other 56 people went to sleep at Yaowang Mountain. There was nothing else to do at home, so Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan prepared to start training at Yaowang Mountain. The 56 people were arranged to take a medicinal bath that was originally prepared for the common people to work here. They were also massaged by the people who came to experiment with acupuncture and massage. Only then could they rest. The so-called rest meant that they didn't need to do anything physically, but they still needed to use their brains. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao personally taught them how to read. The original guards felt that they could finally relax at this time. They had already learned a lot of words, so they could rest if the young master taught them how to read. However, because they knew a lot of words and read some books, Wang Wan found them and began to teach them some combat tactical arrangements. She felt that she had learned a lot, and with some books here and what she knew, Wang Wan made such a tactical training book. The sand table was made by Wang Wan, and the map was also drawn. It was just some of the terrain here. In a narrow area, the long-range suppression of the bow, an arrow must be able to shoot farther and kill the enemy's strength in the middle and rear. In a narrow area, the role of a single soldier is especially important. They must be used to cooperate with each other and protect the archers at the back. No matter the terrain, there can be roundabout and can be interspersed. Be flexible and excited. Don't be limited by the situation in front of you. Wang Wan pointed with a pointer on the sand table and told the 16 people what she had sorted out. From time to time, she would stop and explain the meaning of a certain word. She even made small people holding weapons and comparing them with each other. At the beginning, the 16 people listened to a general explanation of the tactics so they could still follow. But after listening to the professional terms and all kinds of strange ideas, they lost confidence. Why are you so stupid? War was very simple. It was to think of a way to effectively kill the enemy and think of a way to prevent the enemy from killing the enemy. Using everything that could be used, even thinking about each other. Yes, one of these thoughts was called inertial thinking. In this aspect, Xiaobao is more knowledgeable. I'll give you a general idea first. When the time comes, I'll let Xiaobao teach you properly. It's a very interesting subject. Let's do it again. Even if you don't fully understand it now, you have to remember it. When you're divided into groups for training, you can use it to combine it with practice. Wang Wan looked at the 16 pairs of blank eyes and sighed. The 16 people lowered their heads in embarrassment. They really didn't understand. At the same time, they were more in awe of the little young master and the little young lady. Although they didn't understand, they understood that the little young lady was talking about the matters of war. This was usually something that only the great generals knew. The little young lady also knew. Little young lady, you haven't said what the position of this soldier should be. A person picked up the small figure next to the sand table and asked Wang Wan. Wang Wan glanced at it and said, "It's not a soldier. It's a person who is equipped with sleeve arrows and crossbows. If you really encounter danger and need to fight with the enemy, I don't want you to directly use swords, spears, and shields to fight with the enemy in hand-to-hand combat after shooting the crossbows. I'll ask someone to mass-produce them. When the time comes, I'll equip you with them. If you really need to use short-range weapons first, you can shoot the sleeve arrows and crossbows first. At a distance of a few steps, the enemy shouldn't be able to dodge. There's also the flying knife. You have to practice it in the future. Ask Xiao Bao for this. He can use an inch-long steel needle to penetrate glass from 10 steps away. In short, our request is that you can kill the people who are a threat to us at a farther distance. Don't kill them at a medium distance. If you can reach a medium distance, don't come close. If you can, don't use swords. If you can use swords, don't use fists. I know, little young lady. Are the long-range arrows the bow and the medium-range arrows the sleeve arrows? A guard was very excited when he heard Wang Wan's words. If they were equipped with such things, they could save their lives to a greater extent when they encountered danger. The sleeve arrows were not cheap and were exquisitely made. The bow and arrow are the medium-range arrows. You don't need to know the long-range arrows now. You will know it later. Go on and listen carefully. Wang Wan placed the small figures one by one and repeated what she had just said. Zhang Xiaobao was also teaching 40 illiterate people. A blackboard and a piece of chalk. Write a word on it. Zhang Xiaobao recited it, and the 40 people recited it. At this time, one piece of chalk had been used up. Zhang Xiaobao replaced it with another piece. The chalk was not bad. It was made of lime and gypsum. When he was researching this thing, he flipped through many books. In the end, he found the Shun Nong's Materia Medica in a medical book. Wang Wan was very surprised at that time. The things written in this book could be used in the chemical industry. A lot of things could be found. Now, she was working hard to read the medical book. She was preparing to collect the materials in the future to make something else. There was also the sulfuric acid mentioned in the Yellow Emperor's 9 Cauldrons Divine Pill scripture. This made Wang Wan very depressed. She wanted to make something, so she didn't read the engineering book but the medical book. Okay, remember these words today. 15 of them. You have to keep reciting and memorizing. Tomorrow at this time, I will test you. If you don't remember it, then you don't have to sleep at night. You can only rest when you remember it. Now start practicing calligraphy. Copy other people's posts. This is my father's writing, so follow my father's writing. Regular script, stroke by stroke. Forget it. Let's practice the strokes first. Tomorrow, I will ask my father to write a post with strokes. Zhang Xiaobao wrote 15 simple words and took out some brushes, ink, and paper. After thinking for a while, he put them away, leaving only brushes and water. He asked people to bring over a few thin planks and wrote some words with water. He nodded with satisfaction. Write on this? I won't give you paper and ink first. The 40 people didn't object. Usually, they did manual work. If they were given paper and ink, they wouldn't be able to write anything. That was all money. One by one, they imitated Zhang Xiaobao. They picked up the brushes and wrote on the planks with trembling hands. Some people used a lot of strength and only wrote a few strokes. They couldn't see what the strokes were, but sweat had already seeped out of their foreheads. Zhang Xiaobao looked at them and encouraged them. Don't give up. Take it slow. No one can write well on the first try, except for Lu or. In the future, you will not only be members of the Seedling Protection Team, but also generals who can command battles at critical times. Some people have to fight for their lives. Now that you don't have the chance, you can only learn from other places. The 40 people nodded fiercely. No one would give up the opportunity to learn to read. Even if Zhang Xiaobao didn't say it, they would still insist. What's more, they could write according to the words of the top scorer tomorrow. If this news spread, many people would be envious. Wang Wan didn't say much. She just repeated it. If there was something she didn't understand, she would ask and explain it bit by bit. She also cooperated with the sandbox and the little people. Zhang Xiaobao asked people to practice. He had nothing to do for a while, so he strolled to Wang Wan's side. Looking at the sandbox and the little people, he suddenly said, "Isn't it interesting to make a chessboard game? Get more little people and play dice on the narrow street. Move forward, move backward, or randomly pick a question. If you get it right, you will be rewarded. If you get it wrong, you will be punished. You can also let the little people bring goods and use them to buy and sell in different places under different conditions to make money. You can even add military things, 2 of the same board or more. For example, if there are 2 boards, you and I will each be in a room, separated by a curtain, and each of us will use the little people to set up a layout ambush, or attack. Find someone to watch from the side and make a rule for casualties, weather, and troop types. When my people are ambushed by your people, the person watching will reduce my people by a part according to the rule. You can also do this to make money. For example, you and I both buy vegetable oil and sell it elsewhere. In the end, you sell it. Then, my people who go there later will naturally lose money. Add some transportation fees, preservation time of the goods, and other rules. What do you think? When Wang Wan heard this, she didn't immediately say anything. She stood there thinking. Suddenly, she turned her head, held Zhang Xiaobao's face, and kissed it hard. Xiaobao, you are too smart. When the time comes, we will send people to check the terrain in various places and leave the detailed ones for ourselves to make military maps and sand tables. The game we make will not be so detailed. We will let people set up shops in various places. Not only can children play, but also adults can play. We will let people make three-dimensional maps made of wood. We will do the same for the little people. We will make some of the different troop types. The more detailed they are, the more soldiers they represent. The more detailed they are, the more powerful they are. We will hold competitions in various places. Other than using money to buy maps and little people, we can also set up points in various shops. When the time comes, we can use the points to exchange for things. We will make unique marks on our maps and little people, the kind that is not easy to imitate. We will even record when we sell some valuable little people and maps. In each shop, we will hold a big competition every season. The winner will receive our prize in the end. The rule is that the other party will have to compensate for the number of soldiers they have taken away in battle. Even the children of poor families can use the prize they got when they played for the first time to continue playing. As long as they are smart enough, they can compete with the rich. In this aspect, there is no fairness. It is not that if you only have one soldier, others will not beat you if they have 10,000 soldiers. As long as you accept the challenge, or if you are chosen according to the rules, you have to accept the challenge. It is the same in business. If a person with a copper coin wants to compete with a person with a lot of money, then he has to use that copper coin to work hard. This world is unfair. Let the children know from a young age that there is no need to beg for fairness. If they want to obtain more, they have to fight for it themselves. Xiaobao, do you have anything to add? This matter must be done. We will cultivate the talents of great Tang from a young age. When the time comes, we will look for talents here. No, Xiaobao, do you have a backup plan? Chapter 386. Zhang Xiaobao chuckled. We need to know the place to make a 3D map, but we don't need to do that for small people. We also need a lot of people to make all kinds of goods. We also need to find people to watch the shop. There are 2 people in Zhuangzi who haven't found anything yet, so we can arrange it for them. Let's make the maps for our 2 counties first, then find people to check the terrain in other places. We need to ask Li Sun to do this together. We don't have that many people, so we have to ask him to do it. He will come to us. Oh, I see. That's a good idea. What's next? Wang Wan asked again. Next, we can make a military map and hand it to the imperial court. My father will be more secure. Zhang Xiaobao mentioned another benefit. Wang Wan looked like she had expected it, and continued to ask, what else? Also, when we look for the map, we can ask people to help us find the minerals. When we do business, the minerals are also included. The minerals that are useless to others are useful to us. If we are willing, we can set the price of the minerals that are not valued by others lower when we set the rules. Then, we will naturally pay a lower price for the minerals. After being kissed, Zhang Xiaobao began to say whatever he wanted to say. Wang Wan nodded with satisfaction and looked at Zhang Xiaobao. Is there anything else? Yes. When we are making goods, the things we sell are also goods. For example, the smoked chicken, we can carve words on the chicken, Sanshui smoked chicken between the clouds and the water. The things that others spend money to buy can also be used to advertise for us. It's profitable. There's one more thing, don't ask now. Zhang Xiaobao answered one more question. He struggled to get out of the gentle embrace and shut his mouth. Wang Wan knew that it must be something very important, so she didn't ask more. She was satisfied with what she had asked, so she changed the topic back to what they had talked about before. Xiaobao, shouldn't there be an official examination system? For example, the people we send out can accept the challenges of those who have villains and goods. During the challenge, the shop will give out the same thing. This is fair. We can give the poor kids a chance. Okay, this is not bad. Then we have to train some people first. Otherwise, if we go to other places and they lose in a single challenge, we can't afford to lose that face. First, let's make 2 county maps. Then, we'll find 2 people from Zhuangzi to compete a few times a day. You'll be in charge of military matters, and I'll be in charge of business matters. For example, if a level 1 challenge is 100 soldiers, then a level 2 challenge is 500. The map should also be bigger and bigger, so we can see how a person's ability is. If you want to challenge a level 2 person, you have to win at least 3 matches above level 1 and get 3 badges, and so on. Zhang Xiaobao felt that Wang Wan's proposal was good, so he added a few more words. Then, the 2 people settled the matter. In front of them sat 16 guards of the main courtyard. Except for Huzi, the other 15 people really didn't see the layout of the little young master and the little young lady. This time they opened their eyes. The little young master proposed an idea, and the 2 people said one sentence after another, and such a big thing was said. Everything in the past may be like this. It seems that the main family will make more money in the future. In a while, arrange someone to find Li Sun and call him over to discuss this matter. Zhang Xiaobao picked up a small person and said, "Who missed me?" As soon as Zhang Xiaobao's voice fell, Li Sun pushed open the door from outside and walked in. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao with a smile and asked, "No one missed you, just casually saying it. Why did you come over?" Zhang Xiaobao handed over the small person in his hand. Li Sun took it and looked at it, then looked at the sand table and said with a smile, "Xiaobao, your family's guards also learned this?" In front, there was a horse support that piled up rice into the ground. "You're piling up mud and sand, right? Why do I feel that it looks a little familiar?" "Yes, it's Yaowang Mountain." "That's right. This in my hand is a cavalry. It's troublesome for cavalry to fight in this place, especially since you made a lake. Put some armor here and pull out the stirring rope and wait for the cavalry to rush out when there's chaos. What do you think? What do you think? Are they fools? Don't they have scouts? Don't they think that they will be ambushed when they encounter mountains?" Zhang Xiaobao curled his lips and replied. Li Sun waved his hand. "What if they have to rush? If they come from 100 miles away and encounter many mountains along the way, they will always send scouts to check. Then the marching speed will be slowed down. Speed is the most important thing in war. If I attack, I will first set fire to the mountains when I encounter them. You go and ambush them." Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while and said, "That's not right. If we burn the mountains, the ambushers in the mountains will throw wood. How can we proceed? Wait for the mountains to burn out? Come over with the momentum of burning the mountains and force the ambushers to." The 2 people who didn't understand at all started to talk. Wang Wan looked at them and listened, but she didn't say anything. She had nothing to say. These 2 people were full of loopholes. It was really a blessing for her to meet them. As the 2 of them continued to talk, Li Sun finally changed the topic when both of them had nothing else to say. "I've moved. I bought a house next to the Yamen in Huaiyuan County. I want to celebrate with you too. In the future, you 2 don't have to worry about not having someone to play with when you're free. First, tell me, what is this game?" Li Sun said and pointed at the sand table. This is the game. I want to ask someone to play with you." Zhang Xiaobao said, and then repeated to Li Sun what he just said to Wang Wan. Li Ji was stunned. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao, then at Wang Wan, and then at the sand table. He opened his mouth and nodded. "Okay, count me in. Let's make a deal. We can't be too detailed about the things we sell. We'll tell others about the terrain of our country. This is a good toy. Make a set first. I still have to go back." 10 days later, the training at the foot of Yaowang Mountain continued. 56 people were already used to this kind of training. Although they were tired, they also gained a lot of benefits. Their bodies were stronger than before, and their meals were more delicious. Especially after soaking in the medicinal bath at night, when they were massaged, it was really cool. Zhang Xiaobao continued to be the language teacher. Wang Wan also instilled military theory in the 16 people. Today, she could use the sand table to test the theory with the 16 people. Li Sun personally carried a big bag that weighed more than 20 kilograms. After bidding farewell to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, he asked people to protect him and went back to the provincial government. This time, he planned to go back directly without stopping on the way. Unexpectedly, when the boat reached between the clouds and the water, the old man was already waiting for him with the clairvoyance in his hand. "Little prince, why did you come back after just a few days? Tell this old man, what kind of interesting thing did you encounter?" The old man chuckled as he stood on the small bridge, greeting Li Sun, who had just arrived by boat. Li Sun saw that he couldn't hide, so he had to steer the boat to the side and enter a house between the clouds and the water with the old man. "It's just a toy. It's here." Li Sun took down the bag, opened it, and kept taking things out. After taking them out, he put them together again. Hundreds of wooden figurines were also arranged. He said to the old man, "We need to find another person to help. You choose one side, I choose one side. Let's play. Is it fun? We can also change the figurines to do business. Let's see whose business is better." Next to it is an hourglass. 1 hour or 1 hour can be counted as 1 day, or even 10 days. The Zhang family is going to use this to make money. They gave me a share of the business. Before they left, I arranged for 2 Zhuangzi farmers. This is it. In the future, it will appear everywhere in our country for children to play with. Adults can also play with it. Li Sun repeated what Zhang Xiaobao said to him to the old man. "Good stuff. It really didn't let me down. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a waste of effort to arrange people to watch you upstairs? This thing? No, I have to write a memorial. You can't protect the Zhang family. There are too many things involved, and the business is too big." After hearing Li Sun's words, the old man looked at the thing in front of him and made a decision. "No need. It's just a toy. Do you want to give Imperial Uncle a share?" "I won't do it," Li Sun deliberately said. When he came back, he wanted his father to intervene. He naturally knew how much this so-called game could cause. The old man played with the figurines. He looked at Li Sun and said, "You have to do it. Even if the prince helps you, it's useless. If there is a detailed map in the future, it can only be used by the imperial court. Tell this to the emperor. The Ministry of War will be busy again, and the Ministry of Revenue will find an excuse to intervene. After all, there is still business." More than that, Xiao Bao said that he will make a map of being an official in 2 days. First, you have to play dice. When you go to a place, you have to answer a question. Some questions are about knowledge, and some are about population and grain fields. If you answer correctly, you will be rewarded. If you answer incorrectly, you will be demoted and have to start again. After the imperial examinations are finished, the people who pass the examinations will start to be officials in various places. There will also be many questions waiting for you. It's a kind of evaluation. If you answer correctly, you will be promoted. If you answer incorrectly, you will be demoted. If you make a serious mistake, you will be exiled or beheaded. If you put it in a challenge or in a big competition every quarter, the people who are beheaded will be taken back. If you are exiled, you will be punished. Li Sun told the old man about the map that hadn't been made yet. He meant that only the Ministry of War and the Ministry of Revenue were not enough. The old man also understood. He nodded and said, "So the Ministry of Rights, the Ministry of Justice, and even the Emperor have to be included. This thing is very powerful. Maybe the Emperor will let all the ministers play to see how well they handle things. But can the Zhang family think of so many possibilities? I don't know. Maybe he will go to various places and sort out what happened before and how to deal with it. For example, what did the various places do when there was a drought? Which is good? Which is bad? If you are willing to write a memorial, then write it. I am in a hurry to go back. I can't give up my set. Xiao Bao still has some. Ask them for it." As Li Sun spoke, he began to unpack the things on the table and put them into his backpack. Chapter 387. While Li Sun was reporting, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't stop to wait for his final result. Since the things had been made, they could begin mass production. The 2 people from Zhuangzi outside the Zhang family were gathered together. The craftsmen were in charge of making the figurines and items. They didn't need to make the maps of the 2 counties. The craftsmen of the Zhang family and the Wang family would do it. The 2 people from Zhuangzi, who didn't have such craftsmanship had to be trained. Those who used to do business were assigned to manage shops in various places. Those who were smart were selected to follow them to Yaowang Mountain so that they could compete with Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao originally wanted to teach them some theoretical knowledge. Unfortunately, they started learning too late and couldn't understand anything too profound. The only way to make them improve quickly was to let them fail again and let them see how they won. After seeing more, they would naturally figure out some rules. All business activities, no matter how complicated they seemed, were ultimately a matter of price difference. A high price difference in the short term would directly make a profit, while a long-term investment would wait for appreciation. It was all the same. Those who made a lot of money just used the middle means well. The training was done, and the arrangements were arranged. Everything seemed to go smoothly. The calm water was rippled by the wind. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stood next to the shallowest swimming pool, staring at the water and waiting. After a few minutes, a head came out of the water first. It opened its mouth and gasped for breath. After this head came out, other heads came out of the water one after another. There was a trace of annoyance on the faces of those who came out later. Huzi was the 10th last one to come out. He wiped his face and said to Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao, "Little master, little miss, can we practice separately?" When someone stood up, the water moved. I could have held on for a while, but when the water moved, I couldn't hold on anymore. The others who came out later also nodded in agreement with Huzi's words. The people who came out first were a little embarrassed. They couldn't hold it in anymore and stood up quickly. Naturally, they disturbed others. Wang Wan suddenly said, "Oh, so that's how it is. You're afraid of water movement when you're holding your breath underwater? All right, from tomorrow onwards, we'll start putting fish in this swimming pool. The smallest one has to be at least 3 feet long. The swimming pool is big, so we'll put 1,000 fish first. You guys can continue training there. There's no need for that. We'll get someone to bring them here now so that you can continue swimming." This time, no one dared to say anything, especially Huzi. He told himself not to raise any objections in the future. Every time he did, he would feel even worse. One by one, they jumped into the water and took a few deep breaths. Then, they closed their eyes and sank into the water again, holding onto the wall of the swimming pool. Standing on the shore, Wang Wan really ordered someone to catch the fish. She glanced at the water and said, "Are you afraid of others?" What was she thinking? Did she think that she would spend the rest of her life in the swimming pool? Which river does not move? She didn't distribute the oxygen properly, and she actually dared to blame others? Zhang Xiaobao chuckled. These people were all clowns. After a while, the people inside came out one after another. Wang Wan called them and asked them to go to the shore. She took out some paper with words written on it, which were taught by Zhang Xiaobao in the past 2 days. She folded the paper and handed it to these people. After you go down, unfold the paper and see what's written on it. If you see it, get up and say it. If you don't see it, wait until you can't hold it in anymore, Wang Wan said to them. Some of these people didn't care, but some were very nervous. They usually closed their eyes when they were in the water. With a splash, these people jumped into the water again. Wang Wan sighed and said, "There's still a long way to go. When they're used to opening their eyes in the water, it will be fine. Arrange for people to go to Meiyuan, Sanyuan, Chunhua, Yunyang, Tongguan, and Fuping counties to check the terrain. Are you going to let the 2 people from Zhuangzi go to the nearby areas to get used to it?" Yes and no. Let's take it slow. The other counties also need to do the same. The map of the capital is the simplest. We already have the blueprint, so we just need to follow it. I wonder if we will be punished for attacking the palace during the competition? Zhang Xiaobao flipped through the physics information that Wang Wan had sorted out. He was still a little worried about opening a shop in the capital. Then don't make the location of the palace. Pretend that there is nothing there. Make more places. We don't need to be afraid of people deliberately remembering this place. They have already remembered it. Who would think of attacking the Tang dynasty's palace for no reason? They have to come in first. Don't worry about it for now. Wang Wan wasn't sure what Li Longji would think if they were to target the palace. Then get rid of it. It's better to avoid trouble. When they come in a few days, remember not to show mercy. We have to let them know that they have to give it their all. Zhang Xiaobao was talking about the people who were coming to train. Wang Wan understood and nodded. She thought of something and asked, Xiaobao, if our shop is challenging some businessmen or generals, do you think the people we send can do it? We have to send them even if they can't. If they lose, we can invite the powerful people such as honorary generals and honorary businessmen. When the time comes, they can fight with each other. Whoever wins will be the honorary person, and the loser will definitely think of a way to take revenge. I'm thinking of something now. For example, if you were given 100 strings of coins and you go to Sanshui County to do business, the specialty of Sanshui County is close to the real data and the terrain is similar. It won't have a big impact on business. If we choose October this year, then if a person can calculate 100 strings of coins into 200 strings of coins in a month, will it be possible in real life? Zhang Xiaobao had just thought of this. If all the data was close, then what could be done in the game could be done in real life. Wang Wan was stunned for a moment and shook her head. It shouldn't be possible. How many people can play the game at one time? They are only competing with the same opponents. How many merchants are there in real life? However, through this game, we can gather some ideas. Even if it can't be done in real life, we can change it and use it in real life. We have done a big thing. For example, if an official wants to build a water conservancy project, he will try his best to think about how to build the water conservancy project. He is only one person. Even if he includes the think tanks around him, there are only a few people who can do it. But from the game, those who can play the official game shouldn't be too bad. With so many people helping to think, including the mobilization of personnel, the collection of materials, the situation of the river, and so on, things that couldn't be done in the past can be done. Brainstorming can be beneficial. Who knows? Let's get it done first. How's Li Sun's side? It's best to pull more people in. If the business is too big, we can just take a part of it. It's enough for 2 zhuangzi to arrange. The other positions can also be given away. In a while, I will write to Grandpa Bai and ask if he can contact other officials. With the support of the officials, it will be easy to do things in the future. Give them a part of the profits, and they can see how others deal with official matters. What are we eating tonight? Zhang Xiaobao couldn't take everything into consideration, but he could pull others in to make this game. With benefits involved, there were many loopholes that had to be fixed if others found them. Now, what he had to do was to contact people in various places as soon as possible. He had to get them to help with the map and use the fastest speed to spread the game throughout the country to create a brand advantage. This matter is more urgent. Go and write it now. Huzi, you continue to lead people to practice. Remember to rest properly. Don't let anything happen. Wang Wan pulled Zhang Xiaobao and ran back, leaving 56 people to continue training. Half an hour later, a letter with several possibilities was sent to between the clouds and the water at the fastest speed. At this time, the old man had just finished writing the booklet. After sending it away, he sat there and made a pot of tea. While waiting for the tea to be drunk, he said to himself, "This is a mess. I don't know how many people put their eyes on the Zhang family. How should we divide the profits?" Li Sun had just returned to the Wang mansion. He told the king of trials, Li Qingyi, who was sitting there drinking tea. After listening to his son, he spoke. "Schweber, this business is too big. I can't handle it. Write a letter to your other uncles and discuss it with them before making a decision. In the end, it's good enough if you can get half of the profits. If the Zhang family can get half of the profits, you can get less. Father, that's all you can get." Li Sun felt that it was too little, not only for himself, but also for Zhangjia Zhuangzi. Zhangjia Zhuangzi was the one who thought of it and made it. There were also some subsequent adjustments. How could he just give it to others? After thinking for a while, he said, "Father, who are the profits given to? Who can be given to? Whoever has the ability to get involved will get some. Half of it is already a lot. How many officials of the prefectural roads? How many officials in the capital? How many princes and marquises? Those who have the ability to get in will get a little. Your brothers added together won't get as much as you." Li Qingyi had already thought of this when he heard his son say it. Li Sun had no other choice. At the same time, he thought it through. Yes, those prefectural roads are expected to help draw the map and make money from them. If we don't give them, won't they do it themselves? It's just that when they do it, they are always one step slower than the Zhang family. When the Zhang family adds a new one, they will follow suit and do a new one. But how do we calculate this? There are shops everywhere. We also have to give out a portion of the profits. Do we give them the money after they make it? Or do we give them the money as we earn? You don't have to worry about this. The Zhang family naturally has a way. As for the ship, you can also build it. The first ship will be given to the Zhang family. Steel, I've helped you get some. Stay there and see what they're going to do. Chapter 388. The weather gradually cooled down. In another month or so, the rice would be harvested and the cotton would also be harvested. The cotton harvesting process was slower than the rice harvesting process. The two farmers from Zhuangzi who came in after the Zhang family were still busy. The trainees were sent to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. After game, no one won. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not cheat. When they rolled the dice, the person in the middle was in charge. Zhang Xiaobao's side was more fun, but Wang Wan's side was boring. She didn't throw the dice to see who would make the first move, but to see the number of the dice. She would draw a random spot beside the dice to see the weather. In order to increase the entertainment value, Zhang Xiaobao added some random elements to the game. For example, when you play a dice game and enter the lucky house, the contestant would draw a piece of paper from it. The small piece of paper would be in the simulated house. When you pinched it out and took a look, you would find 5 copper coins. That would be 5 copper coins. This could be done properly. Zhang Xiaobao was afraid that he would bully people too much, so he played with the unorthodox game first. After letting people know about the business world, he would play the proper game. While the two of them were killing people, the chess pieces were already being sold. Some people in the nearby prefectures and the imperial court began to contact Zhang Zhong. They did not care who came up with this game. As long as it was the Zhang family, they would contact Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong was very busy. After receiving people's invitations, he had to think about who was behind each family, how much help they could provide, and how capable they were if they wanted to cause trouble. In the end, Zhang Zhong really could not figure it out. He found Bai Shu and Li Sun and made arrangements. When there were people he did not know, he would ask the two of them. Because this news had not spread to the distant prefectures, Zhang Zhong did not dare to promise how much effort each family put in and how much money they would get. He could only wait. He wrote down each name on a piece of paper, followed by each person's family or power. When the time came, the distribution would be based on strength and power. Zhang Xiaobao meant that no matter how it was distributed, the Zhang family should keep 10% in the end. He and Wang Wan were exhausted from the detailed rules of the game. There were also some people in the residence who helped to find loopholes. If they did not even get 10%, then others could think of their own ways. The Zhang family would not be involved. Of this 10%, Li Sun's 30% was privately given to him. Li Sun still had a little bit of money left on the total list, adding it up to 5%. On the surface, he did not ask for much. Furthermore, it was his family who took the lead. Even if others knew about the private deal between him and the Zhang family, they would not say anything. After the two Zhuangzi's trainees left, the rest of the people began to make figurines. Each figurine was engraved with a unique symbol. Ordinary figurines and goods were made of ordinary wood. Medium figurines and goods were made of high-quality wood. Better figurines and goods were made of gold and silver. When buying figurines or goods with gold and silver, a document would be given to prove where the figurine was bought. In the future, it would be taken out during the competition and recognized by the shop. Otherwise, you could make it yourself. During the quarterly competition, you would take it out. There was one less document, so keep it for yourself. This kind of work was not done by the Zhuangzi, but by the people in the inner courtyard. Zhang Xiaobao also spent a lot of money to buy jadeite. He used the jadeite to carve 2 sets of figurines and goods. These were naturally prepared for someone. As long as someone casually mentioned that they were interested, he would give it to that person. If he accidentally broke it, he would have to compensate that person. Wang Wan expressed her understanding. In the past, during festivals, there were many people who sent gifts to her family. Many of them sent authentic Yuqian Longjing tea and top-notch Dahong Pao tea in ordinary boxes. The original Zhongjia Zhuangzi's people were not envious or jealous. They had their own business. When they saw the two Zhuangzi's people, they even gave them their blessings. In fact, the Zhuangzi's people did not earn much. They did not directly give the profits to them. The items they made were sold according to the price. The people who were sent to look after the shops were also paid according to the income. The original Zhuangzi's people earned more the more they sold. When they opened their own shops, each family had some money. They could still afford to open a small shop, but when they opened a few big shops together, the Zhang family only charged them a small amount of money and seasoning. When they left, they did not even charge them for seasoning anymore. They just charged them a small amount of money. They did not send people to check the accounts. They just reported how much they earned. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew that these Zhuangzi's people would definitely report their actual income. These Zhuangzi's people were already imprinted with the Zhang family's brand. Even if one or two of them made a false report, the Zhuangzi's people would also see it. They did not know how many chickens each family produced and how much they sold. If they moved out, they would be removed from the Zhang family from the day they moved out. The Wang family's people in Zhuangzi naturally could not follow them. The Wang family was waiting for Zhang Zhong to go to another place to be an official. The main reason was that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could not be separated. At the same time, Wang Wan's mother and Zhang Xiaobao's mother had a good relationship. The elders of the two families often went outside to sit under a tree and chat. Under the invitation of the Zhang family, the Wang family planned to follow them. The people in Zhongjia Zhuangzi had things to do, but the Wang family's people in Zhuangzi were still waiting. They believed that the young lady would arrange something for them to do. In fact, the Ge family's people in Zhuangzi were the most upset. They did not know who spread the rumor that the head of the Zhang family would leave Zhuangzi and go to a faraway place after he finished dealing with Huayuan County. The Ge family's people in Zhuangzi did not believe it at first. However, when they saw that the Zhang family's people had started to open shops outside of Zhuangzi, the other two people in Zhuangzi also started new businesses. Those who were familiar with the Zhang family knew that the Zhang family was arranging something for the people in the village to live a good life. The Ge family's people could not help but look at the Wang family's people. If the Wang family was also arranged, then the head of the Zhang family would definitely leave. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan certainly could not take care of the Zhang family and leave the Wang family behind. Even if the Wang family's people were doing well now, they still had to find something to earn money for them. However, was it so easy to find a profitable business? Only Zhang Xiaobao could do this. If it were someone else, it would be strange if they did not go crazy. Wang Wan was silent as if she understood. Zhang Xiaobao was filled with endless sorrow, and Li Sun came over to deliver delicious food. Wang Wan finally stopped being silent. Xiaobao, genius. It seems that the heavens were jealous of you when you got sick. Let's go and arrange it now. Young Master Li, please sit here for a while. We will come back in a while. Wang Wan left with these words and pulled Zhang Xiaobao away. Li Sun only heard the latter part of the conversation. At the beginning, Zhang Xiaobao's mouth moved, and so did Wang Wan's mouth. She only knew to ask him to wait for a while and did not understand anything else. A fast boat went against the current. When it reached the small bridge, it shouted to the Wang family's people who came out for a stroll, "The master has ordered for the second steward to come over." The person looked and recognized that it was the Wang family's guard. He quickly ran to the Wang family's main courtyard. After a while, the second steward in charge of guarding here rushed over. The person took out a letter and handed it over. "The master has ordered for the second steward to be in charge of this matter. Don't worry, take the Ge family with you. Farewell." The second steward looked at the boat in the distance and was somewhat puzzled. He did not know what this meant. He glanced at the letter in his hand and estimated the distance. He directly crossed the bridge to between the clouds and the water, which was twice as close as the main courtyard. Next to him was the Wang family's villager who had just reported. In the past, how would the villager dare to do this? However, it was different now. The steward did not have much power. He only had power when he was working for the master. Even if there was no room in between the clouds and the water, there would be emergency rooms left. He directly led the Wang family's second steward to a room on the second floor with the best view. The villager hesitated for a moment. Second steward, can I go in and take a look? Come in. It must be related to Zhuangzi. Wang Biao? You can also read? The second steward paused for a moment and called the villager in. The villager happily walked into the room. Second steward, who doesn't want to learn something now? Our Wang family can't be worse than others. Last time I saw that cripple Zhang family, you don't even know what he said to me. He said that a fair and graceful woman is easy to find, bullying me because I don't understand. I was puzzled. His wife is at least 150 pounds. How can that be fair and graceful? I said that I should go and tell his wife. At that time, he treated me to a drink. Unfortunately, it was between the clouds and the water. He only charged us villager. I ordered 4 dishes and a pot of wine. He only spent 22 copper coins. Ha ha! The second steward finally couldn't help but laugh. He patted the villager's shoulder. Good, let's do that. We have good relations with the Zhang family, but we still have to fight for face. Come, look at the letters. While speaking, the second steward opened the envelope and took out 2 letters. One was thick and the other was thin. He opened the thin letter and looked at the villager. The villager carefully looked at the letter. Second steward, there are too many words that I don't understand. You should read it. The second steward nodded. I'll read it for you. Second steward, I am Cuckoo. I have something to tell you. Xiao Bao has arranged for the Zhang family's villager. As for the Wang family's villager, he has also thought of a way to arrange with the Gu family. We will turn the road between the clouds and the water into a food street. Our main business will be mutton steamed buns, buckwheat noodles, steamed buns, bubble oil cakes, gourd head steamed buns, donkey rigiamo, 100 dumplings, and guique. In addition to the food that Xiao Bao and I usually make, we will give the Gu family 30% of the profits. The 2 families will run a food street together. The specific methods are in the letter. In addition, there are 4 medicinal cuisine recipes. Manage it well, and it won't be worse than the Zhang family's original villager. Remember, use enough ingredients. If there are any fakes, wait for me to find out. Second steward, I knew it. The main family won't leave us alone. It seems that the old master of the Zhang family is really going to leave. Second steward, what do you think will happen if the little lady finds out that you're faking it? The villager understood and said happily. The second steward glared at the villager. When did I say that I'm faking it? If I'm really faking it, you must be a traitor. Think of a way to tell the little lady. Second steward, I'm the traitor if I don't tell the little lady. The villager didn't care and said what he thought. Just now, I was a bit depressed, so I left a review in the book review section. Some people might not see it, so I posted it here to let everyone know my thoughts. It's my first time on the new book list, so I'm very excited. My thoughts are very simple. To stay in the top 10, I also want to be in the top 6. Who doesn't like more money? But I know it's impossible. I'm a stable person, but there's a bit of passion in my heart. Just now, someone used the words "take off the shells" to provoke me. My heartstrings trembled, so I wrote this review. What I want to say is friends go well. If you're satisfied with the next book, come again. I'll continue to write. I'll write how I should write. That's my style. Even if I still owe the monthly votes for chapters, I'll still shamelessly say that I'll continue to support those with monthly votes. Let me say one more thing. Actually, I don't know where everyone is from. Maybe we'll never meet in this lifetime. Maybe we'll meet, and even if we don't know each other, I know that you'll support me at the ends of the earth. The furthest you are my most recent love. Chapter 389. The second steward didn't want to compare himself with his wife. He put down the thin letter and picked up the thick ones. He read them one by one. They were all special snacks. At the very least, he wanted to eat them when he saw them, especially the soup dumplings. He had eaten them once, just once, personally made by his wife and the young master of the Zhang family. Now, the recipes were in front of him. These recipes, together with the previous ones, totaled more than 40 types. After dividing 30%, there would still be 28 types. What's more, there would be more recipes sent over in the future. He would display some other specialties. It was really a food street. Even if he didn't know how many people would come in the future, he still had to do it. Second steward, these are all food, right? Then hurry up and do it. Our wife doesn't usually come up with ideas, but the young master of the Zhang family is amazing. If he says it's okay, then it's definitely okay. How do we divide these? The farmer said anxiously. It's written on the last page. Let's divide the processes. Each family is only responsible for one. Those who don't get to sell some other snacks, such as popcorn and cold melon seeds. These seeds will be shipped to us. First, we need to build a simple house. There needs to be a place for the snacks. Those who don't have anything else to do can help in the shop. Those who like to wander around can take some snacks and take our boat to Luoshui County to sell them. Also, during winter, keep more eyes from the river. It could be used next year. The second steward turned the paper to the last page and looked at the words on it. He explained to the farmer. The farmer was happy. Our wife and young master are so good to us. I'm willing to wander around. Starting tomorrow, I'll go to other places to sell. Good idea. In a few days, the rice will be harvested. If you go to sell, who will cut the rice? Do you know how much the rice costs? Look at this year's rice. The low-grade field has nearly 4 dan of rice. The mid-grade field has 5 dan, and the high-grade field has 6 dan. 1 mu, almost twice as much as before. It's also more than last year. The second steward pushed the 8 bowls in front of the manor owner and took a sip of wine as he spoke. The farmer looked at the second steward enviously. These 8 dishes and that pot of wine were free of charge. The first 3 stewards of the Zhang family and the Wang family were all like this. If the first steward, also known as the head steward, came over, as long as there was enough reason, the food they ordered would all be free of charge, no matter what they ordered. Fortunately, none of the stewards had the leisure to do this. Unless they really had something to do, they wouldn't come over and order something too expensive. The main house was already eating well. Looking at the 8 bowls, the farmer did not stand on ceremony. He poured himself a cup of wine and took 2 bites of the food. He said, "Second steward, what do you think is going on here? Last year's output was already frightening, but this year's output is even higher. What else could it be? The main family's methods are impressive. Of course, today's harvest will be higher than last year's. It's just like a newly open wasteland. The first year's harvest won't be enough, but the second year's harvest will be impressive. The third year's harvest will be higher than the second year's, but it will be less in the future. It seems that the price of seeds today is even higher. What do you want?" The second steward only drank the wine and did not touch the dishes. "What do I want? I don't want anything else. The house has already been built. It has 2 floors. The food growing well is the main family's ability, not mine. Then I'll go out and sell in a few days. I'll harvest the food first. Actually, I want to go with the main family. I also want to, but can the main family take so many people with them? If so many people are taken away, what will happen to the 2 counties? Even if the yamen of the 2 counties won't say anything and will be under the control of the Zhang family, there will be too many people missing. The prefectural court will not be willing. Moreover, they will have to come back in the future. Without us, there will be no home." The second steward thought too much. He had already prepared himself for not seeing the main family for a few years. The farmer did not say anything this time, so he could only change the topic. "Second steward, when are you going to look for Guzhuang's people? Actually, I think we don't need to care about Guzhuang. It's not like there's only Zhuangzi. Besides, they also made a lot of money between the clouds and the water. Our main family also made a lot of money. Don't tell me you're just going to wait for benefits?" "No, I'm just saying, the main family has already given us a lot of benefits. How can we ask for more? What's the difference between that and a beggar? We have hands and feet and can work. We can't always rely on the main family. When I walk outside now, if people ask me and hear that I'm from the Wang family between the clouds and the water, it'll immediately be different." The farmer was more honest and said whatever he wanted to say. At the same time, he was a little narrow-minded and was not willing to share the benefits with others. For example, the Zhuangzi of the Gu family. The second steward could not have the same thoughts as the farmer. Since the young lady had ordered, he had to do it. He put the remaining half-pot of wine beside the farmer and said to him, "You eat slowly. I'll go to the Gu family first." "And okay. Second steward, take care." The farmer's mouth was stuffed with food. He responded and poured himself another cup of wine. His alcohol tolerance was poor, so his eyes were a little blurred. He muttered to himself, "If only the master of the Zhang family could be the prime minister. Then I can also say that I'm the prime minister's farmer and scare them to death." The second steward of the Wang family came out of between the clouds and the water and went straight to the main courtyard of the Gu family. Guangxi was also worried now. He had heard some rumors. After finding between the clouds and the water and asking, he got the general idea. He had earned some money with the Zhang family in the past 2 years, especially this year. The money he earned was more than what he had earned in the past 20 years. But he did not want the Zhang family and the Wang family to leave. It was not only a matter of money, but also a matter of power. With the two families, not to mention the Sanshui County, even the Zhejiang County would not be able to cause trouble. When the two families left, what would happen to the Gu family? Usually, the people who contacted the little prince were the Zhang family. He did not know if the little prince would be willing to contact the Gu family. Before he left, he should come back once. He could ask at that time. After all, they had been neighbors for many years. It was reasonable for him to send them off. Besides, Zhang Zhong was not a snobbish person. Otherwise, he would not have bothered with him when there was a scattered official. Village Chief Go, what do you think of the rice? This year's rice seems to be good. The second steward of the Wang family came over and tried to find a topic to talk about. Yes, it is good. It is all thanks to the blessing of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Guangxi replied politely. He did not know that his family had really benefited from the Zhang family and the Wang family. His rice seedlings were taken from the Zhang family and the Wang family's fields. The Zhang family and the Wang family planted the rice seedlings earlier. When the time came, they did not want the seedlings that were too dense. When the seedlings were cultivated, they were different. After a few days of growing with the wheat rice stone and good fertilizer, the seedlings were much stronger than last year's seedlings. The second steward of the Wang family also knew that he was being polite. He quickly said, it's okay. Village Chief Go, in fact, there is something we need to trouble Gu Zhuang with. The young lady sent a letter saying that she wants Wang Zhuang and Gu Zhuang to do a profitable business together. Does Village Chief Gu agree? Agree, Guangxi said without thinking. He then said, it is all thanks to you. Haha, second steward Wang, come to the yard. Chapter 390. The autumn wind blew down the leaves and dyed the paddy golden yellow. Everyone who had planted the late rice was busy sharpening their knives, preparing for the joy of autumn. The old man was not idle either. He gathered a group of people to fish crabs from the ponds in the mountains. This was what Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan said in their letters. They left a small portion for the old man and sent the rest to between the clouds and the water. The old man was also waiting. The 2,000 mu of land belonged to his family and was only used by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Along with the letters, there were also 8 crabs. The usage of each crabs was written in the letters, making the old man feel both curious and warm. The crabs and prawns were scooped up one by one. The servants of the Bai family cheered from time to time. The old man, along with his granddaughters X and Air and Lu Er, stood to the side and watched. Grandpa, do we eat the big crabs raw? I heard that they are better eaten raw. X and Air licked her lips and asked. She had not eaten crabs that many times. Children were usually not allowed to eat things that could cause them to get sick. If they accidentally got sick, they might die. Only last year did she eat them a few times. They were the very small kind, skewered and fried. They made crunching sounds in her mouth, but there was no meat in them. The old man patted his granddaughter's head. Logically speaking, we should eat them raw or drunk, but Xiaobao and Cuckoo said in their letters that we can't eat them like that. If we want to eat them, send them to between the clouds and the water. They will cook them raw and drunk crabs. Otherwise, it is easy to get sick. Let's eat steamed crabs. Between the clouds and the water should cook steamed crabs. The food there is delicious. X and Air now believed in between the clouds and the water the most when eating. She would not eat the food cooked by her own chef. Okay. Let's eat the food made by between the clouds and the water. Don't worry about getting a stomachache. Send the first batch of fish to the Yamen of Huayuan County and send some to between the clouds and the water. Let them cook it first and eat it when they get back." The old man dotingly agreed. In fact, he was also eating it between the clouds and the water. There was a special recipe for him there. Seeing that nearly 500 caddies of food had been scooped out, he quickly sent someone to deliver it to the Zhang family and Wang family so that they could have a taste first. Later on, he would send more. According to the Zhang family's custom, if they had good food, they would share it with the villagers and the bailiffs. In Huayuan County, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Li Sun were also waiting for the shrimps and crabs to be sent over. They wanted to have a big meal to satisfy their cravings. The mountain road had been completed, but the other roads in Huayuan County still had to wait for a few months. There were too many people, but there were too many roads to be repaired. The Yamen's account had money. In the beginning, there were 80,000 strings of coins. In addition to the various taxes collected later on, Zhang Zhong was confident that he could repair the roads to any place that had houses. Except for the houses that lived alone on the mountain, he could repair all the roads. Not only did he repair the houses in the county, but he also specially built a main road in the surrounding counties. He directly hired people from the counties and discussed with them. After the autumn harvest, Lin County would provide manpower, while Huayuan County would provide tools and materials for road repair. He would also build several main roads in the neighboring counties. The people in Lin County's Yamen were secretly delighted. While they agreed, they also said that Zhang Zhong was a fool. He spent so much money just for the convenience of transportation. He actually helped Lin County repair the roads and kept some for himself. No one said anything. He foolishly took out the money to help others. Of course, the people in the Yamen in Lin County were just jealous, especially the Yamen runners. While they said that Huayuan County's county magistrate Zhang Zhong was a fool, they envied the good life of the Yamen runners in Huayuan County. Each of them carried a knife on their waist, rode a horse, and wore clothes that fit them neatly. The Yamen in Huayuan County actually hired a lot of people to wash the Yamen runners' clothes every day. The Yamen runners in other counties only had one set of clothes, and they were washed by their own family members. However, the Yamen runners in Huayuan County had 7 to 8 sets, and they even had different seasons. When doing things in the county, the Yamen runners in other counties either bought food or bullied a small shop. However, the Yamen runners in Huayuan County not only immediately brought food, drinks, and medicine, but also a small card with a number written on it. As long as they ate in a certain shop in Huayuan County, they could pay with the small card. There was a fixed number. When the time came, these shops would take the small card to the Yamen to exchange for money or tax. In this way, the Yamen runners in Huayuan County could persevere no matter how hard the training was. In addition to the good food supply, they were all strong and healthy. If they were compared with others, the Yamen runners in other counties would not be able to raise their heads. In the contradiction of taking advantage of the situation and scolding Zhang Zhong for being a fool, Zhang Zhong sent the booklet of the tax and rent that should be paid this year, which caused an uproar in the imperial court. The people in the imperial court knew that the original county magistrate had collected an extra year's rent. They thought that Zhang Zhong would write a booklet and say that it was reduced this year. Unexpectedly, it was 5 times the usual amount. This news quickly spread to the surrounding counties. The county magistrates in these counties were all gnashing their teeth in anger. Huayuan County had sent so much. What should they do? They still wanted to find an excuse to reduce the rent and keep more for themselves. Compared to Huayuan County, if they dared to do this, they could forget about continuing to be county magistrate next year. They were not capable enough. At this time, Zhang Zhong did another stupid thing. He negotiated with the surrounding counties to rent their land to grow vegetables in the winter. Some of the materials needed would also be sent from the Yamen. The Yamen would spend money to buy the materials first. When the time came, they would sell them to the Zhang family at a higher price. This was done under his own name. The county magistrates were happy. Zhang Zhong rented 1,000 mu of land at once. He only rented it for a few months and paid 50 copper coins per mu. If he wanted to grow vegetables on so much land, the materials would cost several thousand strings of coins. Even if the price was increased by 20%, he could still earn 1,000 strings of coins. This was 1,000 mu of land in a county. When the time came, he would need to hire the local people to help with the farming. In a few months, the hired people would earn more than a year of farming. While they were scolding Zhang Zhong for being a fool, the county magistrates were also relieved. They also wrote booklets and increased the amount of money that the county had to pay this year to the highest, which was twice as much as the previous years. They originally wanted to keep some for themselves, but after being forced by Zhang Zhong's booklet, none of the county magistrates dared to keep more. It was not worth it to keep less. As a result, all of them were tortured to the point that they almost went crazy. They scolded, hated, and liked Zhang Zhong. Not only that, Zhang Zhong also asked the Zhang family to open a game shop in a few counties. They also used the maps of those counties. Some of the work of making figurines was given to the poor people in those counties. They also ordered a large number of handicrafts in those counties. All of the poultry and livestock in those counties were bought and sold at very low prices. It was also because of this that the money earned by the surrounding counties was enough for them to double the amount of money that they had to pay this year. With the rent doubled, the people's lives were good enough. Someone secretly calculated for Zhang Zhong. The money that he had spent these few times added up to less than 40,000 strings of coins. That was 40,000 strings of coins. How much land and population could it buy? Just like that, it was used by Zhang Zhong to take care of the neighboring counties. Every day, things from other counties were transported in carts. Zhang Zhong arranged for people to build more than a dozen large warehouses and put things in different categories. The poultry and livestock were directly slaughtered and frozen. For a time, the restaurants in Huaiyuan County began to buy all kinds of blood tofu. The yamen runners also brought it home every day. There was also a road connecting Yaowang Mountain to Tonglin County. While Zhang Xiaobao and the other two were waiting for the crab and training people, a small team of 5 carts came from that side. Xiaobao, tell me, what is your family doing? This is the first time I've seen a charity like yours. So much money is given to others for free. Li Sun's eyes followed the movement of the 5 carts. He touched Zhang Xiaobao beside him and asked. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head and said, I don't know. Maybe my father feels that he is leaving, so he wants to give more benefits to the people here. The lives of ordinary people are not easy, so he wants to help if he can. Li Sun thought for a while and felt that other than Zhang Xiaobao's reason, he could not think of any other reason. He glanced at the training people and said, I don't know when the crabs and shrimps will come. I have to use the crab 8 pieces you gave me well. It should be soon. Grandpa Bai will definitely send the crabs that he caught before here. Don't worry, I will make you a few more dishes. Zhang Xiaobao was also tempted by Li Sun's question. Li Sun stared at that side. When a team of carts appeared there, Li Sun said to Zhang Xiaobao happily, They are coming. They are coming. That can't be. Zhang Xiaobao squinted his eyes and looked. He felt that it did not look like the team that the old man asked people to send things. What can it be? It's my gift to you. There are 20 carts. You can't usually see it here, so I asked people to send it here from other places. It should be 22 to 23 carts. But on the way here, the outermost carts can't be eaten and can only be thrown away. This thing is good. I'm planning to plant it in other places so that there will be vegetables to eat in winter. Li Sun waved his hand in that direction. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were curious. The team gradually approached and stopped in front of them. The curtain was lifted. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were stunned at the same time. Then they became happy. Li Sun walked over and took one. You haven't seen it before, right? White song is grown in Hebei province. It is not convenient to transport it here, so no one transported it. The production this year is large, so the management hopes to plant more and more places. In the past, there were also some in other places with different colors. I know you always want to get something that you have never seen before, so I sent it to you. The taste of white song is better than other cabbage. These are enough for your family to eat in winter. White song? Cabbage? No, why did it come out in this season? It should be a few days later. Zhang Xiaobao touched the cabbage with his hand. He didn't expect to be able to eat cabbage. This thing has a large production and can be preserved for a long time. So this is it? Yi Lu Wang Jian is preparing food. It's just cabbage, but it's called white song. No wonder we couldn't find it. Now it's good. We can make pig dishes. Wang Wan also reacted. She looked up a lot of things and wanted to find all kinds of useful and familiar things to use. But she didn't expect that the ingredients for the pickled cabbage that she always wanted to eat in winter were right next to her. Yes, this is it. Do you know how to eat it? It can be fried or stewed with tofu. Li Sun nodded and said, of course it's in this season. Otherwise, when are we waiting? You are a prodigal. You can plant some other vegetables first, then this. This thing is cold resistant. You wasted the opportunity to plant other things. Do you have seeds? Give me more. Also, get all the new things that have appeared elsewhere. Things like stir-fried tofu and stewed tofu. I will tell you how to eat them. Chapter 391. With the arrival of the cabbage, the 65 people no longer needed to continue training. They were called back to the yamen by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. On the way back, Wang Wan asked people to quickly go back and prepare a large vat. A water vat would do. Also, prepare stones 2 sizes smaller than the mouth of the water vat, a millstone, and a large amount of salt, not the thin and white kind. Li Sun didn't know why Wang Wan was giving orders. When they arrived at the yamen, the crabs and prawns sent by the old man had also arrived. Just in time to use prawns to stir-fry cabbage. The staple food is cabbage dumplings, and the soup is dried tofu cabbage shredded soup. Make sweet and sour cabbage, steam crab meat cabbage buns, soak sea cucumber, and make vinegar cabbage head. It can also be used as a cold dish. Wang Wan muttered as she walked into the yamen. She liked to eat cabbage the most. There were various cooking methods. As long as there were enough ingredients, she could make dozens of dishes in one go. Zhang Xiaobao didn't think so much. He was satisfied as long as there was pickled cabbage, especially the pickled cabbage that was stewed with meat. It was not greasy and tasty, or he could eat it raw. He had always eaten cabbage as a fruit. At this time, he was holding a cabbage core in his hand. It was crispy and sweet, and it reminded him a little of the past. Li Sun was also hungry. Zhang Xiaobao was eating too happily. He watched Zhang Xiaobao eat the cabbage core and didn't throw away the remaining one. He asked, have you seen by song? This one can't be eaten. No, who said this one can't be eaten? It can be made into pickles, just like the melon slices. I'll tell you how to make it later. These methods are not important, just think about it. What's important is the vat. As long as it's done, this dish can be kept until summer. Even if the taste changes, it's better than nothing. Zhang Xiaobao was already preparing to take the cabbage seeds to the south. Other than the cabbage, there were also small cabbages. It was good to make soup, and it could also be eaten with sauce. Li Sun paid attention to this matter. If it could be put in the summer, that meant that people could eat dishes on a normal day. Even if it was a time of shortage, he decided to take a good look at how it was done. When he entered the yamen, everything was already prepared. In fact, it was very simple. He brushed the water tank clean, put the salt in the cabbage, and put them into the tank one by one. Then he put a millstone on top of the cabbage. After a few days, he added a few more cabbages in. When it was about time, he changed the water and the pickled cabbage would be ready. Li Sun memorized the entire procedure and asked Wang Wan, who had stopped commanding, that's it? It's not over yet. After a few more days, we'll see if there are any bubbles in the water. You want to change the water? I know. I thought it was a big deal. Others have already done it. When it was done, it tasted sour in my mouth. Li Sun said proudly to Wang Wan. He finally had something he knew. Wang Wan didn't expect that someone had already done it. Since Li Sun said it, she didn't say anything else. Zhang Xiaobao also didn't say anything. At least there were many different ways to eat it. For example, he wouldn't tell him about the pickled cabbage hot pot. After a while, crabs, shrimps, and the newly brought cabbage were made into a table full of dishes. The two families and Li Sun sat around and started eating. When they were almost done eating, Zhang Xiaobao said to Li Sun, do you have any idle people? Lend me some for work. When do you need them? When you receive the rice, you can have some. The Li family has people in Zhuangzi. Li Sun replied, then it's too late. I need it now. Pluck the cotton, which is the white fold cotton. After it blossoms, it will grow fluffy. Get someone to pluck it. I have use for it. When the time comes, I'll give you some benefits. Li Sun remembered that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had bought a lot of baidizi in the capital and planted them in old Shangshu's nephew's field. There were about 8,000 of them. Originally, there were 10,000 of them, but some died later. Xiaobao, what are you going to do with them? If there's no other way, you can get the prefectural soldiers to pick them. There aren't many, less than 9,000. There are about 8,000 or 700. They'll be gone in a while. Li Sun felt that there weren't enough baidizi in that field. Then forget it. I'll find someone to pick them myself. It'll take 2 to 3 months. When the cotton blossoms, I'll go and pick them. I don't know how much they'll be able to pick. Let's see how much they'll produce first. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly had his own thoughts. He thought about the 10 mu of cotton and didn't need too many people. 3 people to 1 mu. They could slowly pick them. After the meal, Li Sun returned to the courtyard he bought. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sat together to discuss. Xiaobao, did you buy too little? There are more than 8,000 of them left. How much cotton can there be? How can there be 8,000 caddies? Wang Wan felt that it was a little too little. Xiaobao shook his head vigorously and said, 1,000 caddies? Let's plant 700 plants in 1 mu of land. If we plant 8,000 caddies, then 1 mu of land will yield 700 caddies. Here, 1 caddy is 640 grams. Then, 1 mu of land will yield 900 caddies. The best cotton seeds we had back then were 1,600 caddies per mu. 100 years ago, it was 300 to 400 caddies per mu. That was already pretty good. How much do you think we can get here? How can we get so much? It doesn't seem like much. At that time, we were specifically thinking about how to plant them. The seeds were also improved countless times. With all kinds of supplementary fertilizers and pesticides, we should be able to get 50 caddies per mu, right? 12 mu is 600 caddies. Wang Wan immediately weighed down the weight. Zhang Xiaobao continued to shake his head. I estimate that we'll get 40 caddies per mu. That's a success. In total, it'll be 500 caddies. If we synthesize it, it'll be more than 780 caddies. Let's make do with it. Let's see if we can get 800 caddies. It'll be enough to make some quilts. Wang Wan sighed and suddenly thought of something. I estimate that we can only get 750 caddies, or even less. We still have to remove the seeds. After that, it'll be even less. That's right. We still have to make tools for removing the seeds and a flower tying machine. Tomorrow, we'll get someone to keep an eye on 1 mu. I estimate that it'll take 2 people a day to harvest 1 mu. It's still because we don't have enough cotton balls. It seems that we have to think of ways to cultivate in the future. We can't just look at the flowers. What we need is cotton. We'll make a flower tying machine in the evening. Zhang Xiaobao also thought of this matter. He was getting more and more uncertain. They had occupied 12 mu of land, but they only got 600 to 700 caddies of cotton. How much would they need to sell it to be comparable to farming? There was no other way. The cotton plants were too tall, and the space between them couldn't be small. Later on, they cultivated short plants. They were densely planted, with many branches and many fruits. A single cotton flower could reach 7 caddies. This was just an ornamental thing. Who would specially think of cultivating it? They could only cultivate it themselves. There should be such people in the sea-known temple. They should think of a way to find them. If that didn't work, they could also get some information. The two of them discussed and came out to find someone to make a flower tying machine. This thing was simple. They just had to find a way to let the cotton wool pass through while leaving the seeds. It was the most primitive kind. There were 2 sticks, one big and one small. The gap in the middle was adjusted according to the size of the cotton seeds. If they made a slight improvement, they would step on it. When one side stepped on it, the other side would move. They just had to remove a few gears from the fan and adjust it. This is a great invention. In the future, people will remember our name. It'll be called the Bao Wan Flower Tying Machine. Oh, it needs to be engraved with the name of the craftsman or the unique mark of the craftsman. Zhang Xiaobao stepped on it a few times and said proudly to Wang Wan. Wang Wan nodded. Xiaobao, you're really a good person. You know to share some of the glory with the craftsman. Of course, if one of them breaks while using it, it's obvious that the quality is not good. I have to find the craftsman. If I don't leave my mark, how will I know who made it? Zhang Xiaobao finally told the truth. I take back what I said just now. It's really not bad. Wang Wan didn't care about the flower tying machine anymore. She turned around and left after saying that. Early in the next morning, Zhang Xiaobao, Wang Wan, and Li Sun set off for the cotton field with about 10 maids and 20 male servants from the inner courtyard. At noon, the old man's nephew was already waiting at the dock. When he saw them coming, he arranged a meal first. After a quick meal, they came to the cotton field. Originally, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan thought that with more than 8,000 cotton plants, they could take up 12 mu if they planted them according to the length of 1 meter. In the end, they took up 11 mu. But wasn't this mu too small? The cotton plants were close to each other. The sunlight was always blocked, so the cotton did not only grow on the top but also on the lower branches. Taking a closer look, as expected, there were not many cotton plants that had grown on the lower branches. Picking means plucking them. First, put them in your pocket. If there are too many, put them in the sack. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand, and more than 30 people rushed over. They had never done this kind of work before, so they were really unfamiliar with it. With one hand in their lapels, they used the other hand to search for the cotton stalks, picking whatever they saw. Young Master Li, this year's production is a little low. I can only give you 5 sets. A set with pillow covers, mattresses, and quilts will cost about 5 caddies. No, it's more than 8 caddies. There are only 5 sets. When you go back home, you can give them to whoever you like. Zhang Xiaobao calculated the production even lower. In the end, they could get about 600 caddies of cotton. If they only made the quilts, they could make about 130 to 140 sets. If they made a full set, they could only make about 70 to 80 sets. They still had to cut some materials. Li Sun didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao was talking about. He didn't think much about it and nodded. He didn't care what Zhang Xiaobao gave him in the end. He would just take it. Wang Wan was also worried. I still have to make clothes. Give me 3 sets. That's fine. Young Master Li, I said I would give you 3 sets. I'll give you something else. Zhang Xiaobao felt that it was right. He still had to make clothes and shoes. He couldn't make all of them into a quilt. He then discussed with Li Sun. Any amount is fine. Li Sun didn't have many requirements. To be precise, he didn't care about what Zhang Xiaobao gave him. It was just a quilt. How bad could it be? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard Li Sun's answer and sighed in relief at the same time. Then they looked at the people picking cotton. Chapter 392. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan couldn't help but be surprised. Other people would pick the cotton with one hand and pick with the other. But there was someone in front of them who fastened her clothes and picked with both hands. Her speed was much faster than before. Wait for her to come back later. Ask her how she thought of doing this. When the time comes, we can teach it to others and use it next year. Wang Wan looked over and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao also had the same idea. He agreed and continued to wait. There were a lot of people. They stared at 1 mu of land and used 2 hours to finish harvesting. The amount was definitely not the output of 1 mu of land. If there was still cotton, they would have to wait for a month, 2 months, or even 3 months. That was the characteristic of cotton, unless it was specially cultivated for a different purpose. Seeing that they couldn't estimate the amount, Zhang Xiaobao asked someone to bring over the flower tying machine and let someone put the cotton in. After a few adjustments, he found that it was easy to use. Zhang Xiaobao heaved a sigh of relief. This way, it could be used in the future. The people of the Zhang family were already used to the things that the young master could do. Li Sun watched from the side and didn't know what was going on. One could see when the white folded cotton bloomed and when the white folded cotton appeared. Why did he put it in a box and squeeze it? Zhang Xiaobao also didn't explain to Li Sun. He would talk about it when there was the real thing. It was useless to talk about it now. Wang Wan called over the servant girl who worked the fastest. Looking at the symbol, it was 3 stars. After looking at it carefully, she recognized it. Xiao Su, why did you think of that idea just now? Later, tell the others that if you teach them, you will get 1 more star. Thank you, young lady. I just felt that I could do it faster. Just a glance is enough. Where is the lump? Reach out and pick it. Xiao Su didn't expect that picking a white folded cotton would give her 1 star. She was already 4 stars. If she worked harder, she would get 5 stars. Well, not bad. Continue to work. After you've finished harvesting these few acres of land, come find us at the dock. Wang Wan instructed. Then, together with Zhang Xiaobao and Li Sun, she headed towards the dock. She really didn't want to wait here. The others had started first. This was a skill job. It was slow at the beginning, but it was faster as they gradually got used to it. She estimated that they could finish harvesting those several mu of land before dark. Mr. Li, did you go to the supermarket in Sanshui County this time? Zhang Xiaobao thought of the supermarket on his way back. He couldn't leave behind a mess. When Li Sun heard Zhang Xiaobao mention the supermarket, he said happily, I want to take a look. Many people pass by on the boat. When they see the supermarket, they will deliberately stop and walk around. They want to see the novelty. In the end, most of the people who walk in will buy some things. Some people even buy more and more things. They want to buy whatever they see. When they are waiting for the bill, they realize that they don't have enough money. There are also people who specially ask for pockets. Ever since the pockets started to receive money, those who come to buy daily necessities will carry their own baskets or bags. There are almost no people who steal things. A bailiff is arranged at the door. They are all afraid of seeing the official. It will be fine once you get used to it. After a few years, the locals won't have that kind of novelty. It will become a normal thing to come and buy things. Other places will also open up one after another. Those who haven't built their houses will urge them. When they open one, they will start to earn money. If you want to expand quickly, you can pawn the houses of the supermarkets that have been built. It is like a mortgage, but we still need to use it. If we can't pay back the money, the houses will belong to the pawn shop. When Zhang Xiaobao saw that Li Sun was interested, he began to tell him how to use this method. Li Sun didn't have the slightest idea of doing this. We definitely can't pawn the houses. The interest is too much. It's not worth it. It's better to cooperate with others. If it really doesn't work, I will pull more people in. When Zhang Xiaobao saw that Li Sun didn't agree, he didn't continue to persuade him. In fact, there were other methods, but Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to take them out now. Li Sun had learned a lot, even if he didn't know it himself. When the rice was harvested and piled up, the weather was getting colder. In another 2 months, it would be the Chinese New Year. The cotton was almost finished. The remaining was not worth waiting for. It was unknown whether the land was suitable for cotton to grow, or the person who bought it in Beijing chose a good one. Even if there was some left, there was still more than 600 caddies left after the seeds were removed. The output of 11 mu of land was not comparable to the output of 1 mu of land Zhang Xiaobao and Zhang Xiaobao's. This place originally had a kind of cotton, which was basically similar to cotton. It was just that when it was used, it felt a little worse, and it was a little worse in terms of insulation. The spinning, weaving, printing, and dyeing matters were done according to the cotton. The craftsmen of the Inner Yard Society were gathered together and began to work on the cotton. Wang Wan contributed a little and lengthened the bow used to shoot the cotton. It was also more capricious. She added a small wooden hammer so that her hands would not be injured by touching the bowstring directly. Then came the spinning and weaving. Because of the loom, the woven cloth did not meet the requirements of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, but it was still better than linen. Give 1 set to the prince, keep 1 set to yourself, and give the other set to whoever you want. Zhang Xiaobao deliberately mentioned what happened a few days ago. Li Sun was stunned with the quilt in his arms. He blinked his eyes and said with annoyance, "Why didn't I ask for more that day? How can the things sent by the Zhang family be bad? It's my fault, it's my fault. Xiaobao, let's talk about it. You must have more, right? There are so many white fold seed, it's impossible to make only 3 sets. Besides your family, you have a lot left. I'll buy it, okay? 3 strings of coins for 1 set, the quilt and the pillow skin. I want as many as you have. I'm not selling, no matter how much it costs. In fact, you can find it in other places. Go to the flower markets and see if there are any white fold seed. Ask them if they threw away the ones that fell. If they didn't buy them back. 1 copper coin for 1 caddy. There should be many people willing to sell it. Zhang Xiaobao kept the cotton for emergencies, so he couldn't sell it to Li Sun. He suddenly remembered that the white fold seed was flowers, and the flower sellers always had a way to get them. It was much more convenient for Li Sun to find them. Okay, I'll have someone look for it. When the time comes, I'll leave it to you to help make things. I really need to go home. Why do you always make new things and make me go back and forth? As Li Sun spoke, he began to call for people. First, he brought the things on the small cart into the house. Then, he sent people to quickly go to the capital and other state capitals to see if he could collect more money. Soon after, he also had to set off. Wait a minute. Help me bring 10 sets to Grandpa Bai. We are using his nephew's land. No matter what, we have to give him some benefits. Zhang Xiaobao called Li Sun. Chapter 393. When Li Sun arrived at between the clouds and the water, the old man was already waiting for him. Without waiting for Li Sun to speak, the old man asked first, "What good things did you bring back this time?" White fold seed, a cloth woven with white fold seed and stuffed inside to make a bedding. It's warmer than cotton wool, softer than the fur we stuffed inside, and more comfortable than linen. It's what we used to raise as flowers. Li Sun was a little excited as he spoke. The main reason was that when he came over, the weather was a little cold, so he spread the bedding in the carriage and covered himself with it. That feeling was very comfortable. The old man Wei Wei was stunned. White fold seed? This can be woven into cloth? Can it be stuffed inside like cotton wool? But white fold seed has seeds in it, so it's not easy to get them. We can choose to plant them in newly open land. Every small bud has seeds in it. Just picking the seeds will take a lot of manpower. It's not worth it. If we really plant them, it will be a waste of manpower and money. Li Sun suddenly thought of this. There were seeds in it. When Xiaobao and Cuckoo tried to step on that thing, how did they get the seeds? They stepped on it, and the seeds came out. It turned out that the key was that thing. Thinking of this, Li Sun immediately said, "The Zhang family made a thing that can be rotated. Put the white fold seed in it, and there will be no seeds after it is rotated. Should we plant it or not? If we plant it, we will occupy the land. If we don't plant it, it will be a pity. Plant it. When the time comes, even if the ordinary people can't use it, the price of the silk will drop after the rich people use it. And this matter needs to be reported. Choose a place to try planting it for a year and encourage the opening up of land." The old man had more things to think about. The white dye seed had just come out, and everyone would find it fresh when they came into contact with it for the first time. The price would not be low. It would take at least a few years before ordinary people could use it, unless they found a suitable place to plant a large amount of white dye seed. Li Sun did not care so much. He wanted to go home quickly and give the things to his family. When he came out, other than the old man's 10 sets, he asked for 2 more sets. Of the 5 sets, he kept 1 set for himself and divided the rest. Someone was helping to collect them. After collecting 5 pounds, he could make 1 set. The worthless piece of white paper had now become a treasure. A treasure? That's right. Xiaobao even asked me to help him collect more by Dai Easy seeds. Is he thinking of? His family is thinking of going to the south and finding a suitable place to plant them in large quantities. This is the Zhang family's way of preparing for a rainy day. They haven't even gone there yet, but they've already thought of a way to improve the lives of the local people. They'll let the people plant these things, and they'll buy them at a high price. When the quilts are made, they'll sell them, and no one will lose money. If he could learn this skill from time to time, it's a pity that I can't go with them. Young master, don't you want to go and take a look? No matter where the Zhang family goes, there will be miracles. It's good to take a look. The old man understood the Zhang family's plan after Li Sun mentioned it. Li Sun was a little helpless. I want to go with them, but it seems impossible. Old minister, the Zhang family has been spending money recently. They gave flowers to the neighboring counties around Huayuan County. I don't know what Zhang Zhong is thinking. Previously, he spent 40,000 strings of coins. These days, he should have spent another 20,000 strings of coins. I said that we should open a few more supermarkets. They don't have money. They don't want to do this for money. Spending money for the neighboring counties? They've never told me about this. My nephew once mentioned that they should repair the roads in the surrounding counties. This will make it easier to transport things in Huayuan County. The 5 counties around Huayuan County are Meiyuan, Sanyuan, Chunhua, Yinyang, Fuping, and there's Sanshui County here. This road is connected. Tell me what they've done. The old man thought for a while, but he couldn't think of anything in the end. Normally, it would be abnormal if it was too normal. The Zhang family's actions were watertight. They couldn't have spent 60,000 strings of coins for nothing. Li Sun told the old man everything he knew, one by one. He bought handicrafts, opened up a shop for the game, bought the poultry and livestock raised by the people, and sold them back to the little ones at a very low price. He also helped to build roads, rent land, hire people, and so on. So, the other counties are doing well now? Zhang Zhong is wholeheartedly serving the people. Not only is he helping the people in Huayuan County, but he also can't bear to see the people around him leading a bad life. The old man thought about it and said, "That's right." Zhang Zhong submitted the memorial first. Huayuan County will pay 5 times the usual tax this year, and the surrounding counties will also have to submit the same memorial. In the end, all the taxes doubled. Luckily, the Zhang family spent 60,000 strings of coins. Otherwise, the surrounding county magistrates would be worried to death. Li Sun now understood a little about this. The Zhang family's money had stimulated the surrounding economy. It was direct investment, and it was the kind of investment that was purely based on consumption. Although it wasn't as good as infrastructure investment, this method was more effective. Otherwise, the surrounding counties wouldn't be able to collect so many things in such a short time. At this time, the old man laughed. The people in the surrounding counties should hate Zhang Zhong, but they can't bear to part with him, right? But what's the use of Zhang Zhong's move? Could it be that he doesn't want to leave and wants to stay in Huayuan County? He can't bear to leave the county that he built? Well, this is possible. When the time comes, even if others want to let him go, the people in Huayuan County and the surrounding counties will jointly petition to let him stay. The higher-ups have to consider it. But for this kind of thing, they should discuss it with me. Later, I will write a letter to ask. You take the quilt and go back first. Li Sun also had the same idea. It was useless to stay here any longer. He took his own things, left the old man's things behind, and left by boat. After he left, the old man thought for a while. No, that's not right. If the Zhang family wants to stay, why do they need so many white fold seeds? There's no need to let Li Sun build the boats. I don't know if I can write a letter to ask if the Zhang family can tell me. In the Yamen of Huayuan County, Zhang Zhong took out more than 1,000 strings of coins. This was the money of the Zhang family in exchange for a large number of tanned furs from 2 counties. He asked someone to send them to the warehouse. He couldn't sit still. He didn't want to spend 60,000 strings of coins elsewhere. He spent all of it in the surrounding counties. What was his son's plan? Zhang Zhong thought about it and decided to ask his son about it. He lifted his leg and walked to the back. When he found his son and daughter-in-law, the 2 of them were picking up fallen leaves. They were using the leaf stalks to compete with each other to see who could break the leaf stalk of the other. "Father, you're here. Aren't you busy ahead?" Zhang Xiaobao saw his father coming over and greeted him with a smile. Zhang Zhong looked at his son and daughter-in-law. He also picked up a leaf and walked to Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Let's compete with father." The 2 of them exerted force. Zhang Xiaobao, who had won 4 consecutive battles, was suddenly broken. He praised, "Father, you're still the best. What's so good about me? I can't guess why you keep sending money out. What's your plan? Tell me." Zhang Zhong threw away the leaf in his hand and asked, "Father, how can it be sending money? Didn't we buy things back? If the road is not repaired, buying things will delay things. Those things, when you take office, we'll take them and transport them to other places to sell. We'll sell them as we go. If there's the same thing, we'll buy it. If there's no more, we'll sell it. When we get there, we can at least earn twice the money. It's only 20,000 strings of coins to repair roads and rent land for others. There's also the money to buy all kinds of materials. 5,000 strings of coins. If we sell the goods, we'll get 70,000 strings of coins. Isn't that a profit of 10,000 strings of coins? In addition to the vegetables in the winter, even if we earn less, we'll still get a few thousand strings of coins. Other places can learn to grow crops, but they don't have the experience we have. They're definitely still figuring it out. Our vegetables can be sold to the capital. It's impossible for the capital to grow crops like us, right? There are many people there. Many people don't rely on farming for a living and don't have land. I estimate that this winter, we can earn 10,000 strings of coins from our vegetables. This is the law of business. It's difficult to earn 1 copper coin with 1 copper coin. It's also difficult to earn 1 copper coin with 1 copper coin. It's too easy to earn 100 strings of coins with 100 strings of coins. I can earn 10 times or 20 times, but it's impossible to earn 10,000 strings of coins with 10,000 strings of coins. It's easier to earn 3,000 or 4,000 strings of coins with 10,000 strings of coins than to earn 100 strings of coins with 100 strings of coins. Zhang Xiaobao patiently explained to his father. Zhang Zhong felt that it made sense. So, we'll continue to spend money in the future? Of course. Before you leave, it's best if we can spend 100,000 strings of coins. Our rice can be used to make seeds. When the people in the surrounding counties and Huayuan County have money, they will naturally buy our seeds. We can't sell them like last year. How much would it be if we sold them for 20 copper coins per kilogram of seeds? Zhang Xiaobao continued to calculate. Zhang Zhong did a rough calculation of his family's land. If they could really sell it for this price, 3 zhuangzi, nearly 20,000 mu of land. The output of the last 2 zhuangzi was not as much as the original, but it was not little either. On average, the output of the upper and lower field should be 3 dawn per mu. 20,000 mu of land would be 60,000 dawn. A stone would be 100 caddies. That would be 2 strings of coins. 60,000 dawn would be 120,000 strings of coins? So much? Zhang Xiaobao knew what his father was thinking when he saw his father's expression. Father, it's not that much. How can 120,000 strings of coins be enough? The lower and middle fields can't be used as seeds. The last 2 zhuangzi and upper fields can only be used as seeds. If the upper fields can be used as seeds, it can only be sold for 10 copper coins per kilogram. We have to negotiate with the buyer. Including the money from selling the seeds and the food, it's not bad if we can get 40,000 strings of coins. Did you calculate that it's 20,000 mu of land? How can there be so much? There are mountains and hills. From one end of the hills to the other, it's 3 li to walk. It's more than 1,000 mu of land. Zhang Zhong finally reacted. It was not as much as he imagined. He would know how much it was when the output report came in 2 days. The output was calculated according to the upper, middle, and lower fields. After all, only the upper fields could be used as seeds. Then do as my son said. Continue to buy. Sell the seeds to them while you buy. Keep enough for Sanshui County and Huayuan County. Sanshui County will still be producing middle and middle fields next year. This year, someone said that Sanshui County's grain output is not as usual. It's 20% more than usual. It's not a small amount, especially for those who rent the land to plant. After paying the rent, the remaining 50% is more than 50%. Father, then you can continue to spend money. I will look for you when the rent tax is sent to Beijing before the new year. Zhang Xiaobao said to his father. After Zhang Zhong left, the two of them continued to play. Li Sun went through a lot of hardships and finally collected more than 300 jin of white fold seed. It was not because the white fold seed was not enough. It was because many cotton balls had been blown away by the wind when he collected them. If he had collected them outside when the Zhang family was harvesting, he could have collected more than 10 times. After removing the impurities and removing the seeds, there were about 290 jin left. Zhang Xiaobao kept 90 jin as processing fee and made 30 sets of bedding for Li Sun. Li Sun scolded Zhang Xiaobao for being black-hearted, but he had to accept this. After all, it took a lot of manpower to pluck and spin. The most important thing was that thing that could remove the seeds. It was too tiring to take them out one by one. Xiaobao, can you tell me how to make that thing that can remove the seeds? I will plant it next year. Li Sun asked a little embarrassedly. He also knew how precious this thing was. He did not expect Zhang Xiaobao to agree very quickly. Okay, I will give you one. You will know what it is after you let someone dismantle it. If others ask you for it, you can tell them. If they ask me for it, I will keep it a secret and let them look for you. Really? Your family doesn't want to get more benefits from this thing? Li Sun asked in disbelief. My family wants to live more. Don't tell anyone about this first. After my family plants it over there next year, you also plant it here. When the white fold seed is produced and sold for money, then people will look for you. My family will be satisfied with one more year's worth of money. Zhang Xiaobao still knew what things should be kept for his family and what things should be given away. Not to mention now, even in the past, how many rich people were punished for not obeying orders. Wasn't it easy to find some punishment? Li Sun happily agreed and brought back a flower-making machine for people to study. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly felt a little dispirited, but when he thought of the matter in the next few days, he suddenly became happy. There was still a month before the new year. Some places started to pay rent to the capital. Some places only started next year. Huaiyuan County was close, so they started to pay rent this year. There were also other counties that started to pay rent at the same time. Zhang Zhong originally arranged for someone else to go over, but Zhang Xiaobao found his father at this time. Father, there is something I need to tell you. This time, you have to personally escort the things over. It is best to go with the surrounding counties and talk to their county magistrates and secretaries. It's like this, Zhang Xiaobao said as he put his hands in front of him. A lot of words were written on a piece of paper. Chapter 394. It rained in winter, and the winter clothes were cold. Thin ice covered the earth in the evening, and the river was still winding. Thousands of boats gathered and headed for the capital. Zhang Zhong contacted the county magistrates of several other counties and asked them to transport the goods to the capital together. After weighing the pros and cons, they all agreed. After the winter rain, the taxes of several counties were all transported to the wharf of Huaiyuan County. The fleet that had already been deployed leaned against one side and waited for the shipment. When the ships were loaded and set off one after another, the mighty fleet attracted the attention of everyone who saw it. Zhang Zhong went in person and invited the other county magistrates to do the same. The county magistrates felt that they should not miss such an opportunity. If the officials above gave them some benefits, they would let others take advantage of them. Therefore, under the hospitality of Zhang Zhong, they sat in the cabin of the Zhang family. They chatted on the way. A few days later, when they were about to arrive at the capital, Zhang Zhong said to everyone when they finished eating, "Everyone, I have something to discuss with you. Since the last competition in the Academy of Jinjia, the number of people had increased a lot. More than 400 people were studying in the academy together. The old man became a busy man. In addition to teaching in person, he also took care of some trivial things. One day, after giving a lecture to the students, Li Sun hurried over from Huaiyuan County while wearing a brand new cotton vest and strolling in the academy. When the old man saw Li Sun, he asked with a smile, "Little prince, did you find something interesting?" "Old minister, the Zhang family gave me something and asked me to install it on their ship. I asked someone to install it on the small boat. Look, I came here on a small boat." The boat also went on this river, which flowed toward the capital. The boat went on this river, and the water flowed. I sat there and watched the water flow until... Li Sun's first two sentences were fine, but towards the end, he became incoherent. He pulled on the old man's sleeve and walked towards the river. The old man was very puzzled. When did Li Sun become so unsteady? As he was being dragged away, he said, "Little prince, don't be anxious. Take your time. I know you came from this river. Don't be anxious." "What are you talking about? Old minister, do you know how long it took me to get here from your nephew's dock?" Li Sun suppressed his excitement, but he couldn't control Wei Wei's trembling body and asked the old man, "How long did it take? If it was fast, it would take less than half a day. If it was slow, it would take more than half a day. Could it be that you walked for an entire day? It's not even noon yet. Did you come out last night? You've only just arrived?" The old man estimated the time and asked. Li Sun shook his head vigorously and gestured with his other hand. "I came here from the dock at 5:15. It's now 9:15. How long do you think it took me? What? 3.5 hours? You came here from there? Did you fly? What's going on? Tell me. The old man didn't need to think carefully and said the time. He looked at Li Sun with suspicion, wondering if he was lying. Li Sun nodded. It's almost the same as flying. You'll know when you get to the river. The 8 of us pushed hard at the same time. The boat went against the water and came here with a whoosh. The bow of the boat left the water from time to time. It couldn't be held down. Is there such a thing? Is there such a thing? The old man also became excited. He quickened his pace and jogged to follow Li Sun in that direction. This was all thanks to Shuaiyun Din's usual diet adjustment. Otherwise, his body definitely wouldn't be in its current state. The two of them ran to the riverside, and the boat stopped not far from the small bridge. The old man came closer and took a closer look. He saw that the back of this boat was different from other boats. There was a large groove dug out, and in the groove, there was something half exposed and half submerged in the water. The exposed part was about 6 feet long. There were also some connecting poles placed in 8 places in front of the boat. There was a person sitting there with his feet on the pedals. The old man recognized the pedals. It was something like a tricycle sent by Xiao Bao and Cuckoo a few days ago. Sitting on it and pedaling with his feet, the car could move forward. It was very convenient. There were also some replacement parts, saying that they were not made well and would break easily. He also wrote a letter to Lu Jiro, asking her to come quickly. Old minister, it's this thing. Xiao Bao gave it to me and asked me to install it on the boat. The boat is not finished yet, so it was modified by other big boats. When you take it over, you can adjust the position. But this thing is too strange. I don't know what's going on. Li Sun helped the old man get on the boat and said. His voice was trembling like Weiwei. The old man sat down doubtfully and waited to experience the speed. He didn't say anything. Push hard and let the Lord see. Li Sun ordered and sat next to the old man. The 8 of them stretched out their hands and held onto the fixed handles. Then they began to kick quickly. The first few kicks were quite strenuous, and the boat swayed back and forth. As the 8 of them kicked faster and faster, the boat stopped swaying and moved forward. At first, the old man didn't feel anything, but he felt it was strange. It seemed to be different from the boats he knew before. Boats had 2 wheels on the side, but this one was at the back, and he couldn't see the wheels. But after a few breaths, the old man was astonished. The speed of the boat had already surpassed all the boats they usually took. After waiting for a little while, the 8 people stood up and held on to the higher handrails. The moment their bodies swayed left and right, the bow of the boat suddenly swayed. The wind blew past his face, and the old man's hands were on the handrails on both sides. He turned his head and looked back, only to see the water behind the boat churning and ripples moving away. Li Sun, what's going on? Why is it so fast? The old man gasped for breath and shouted at Li Sun. What else could it be? This is something made by the Zhang family. As for why it's so fast, I don't know. But I know that if this thing is installed on a warship with 2 wheels on both sides, it can change direction at any time. Whether it's chasing or escaping, no boat can compete with it. Old minister, what should I do? Should I install it or not? No wonder they asked for a large amount of steel to make this thing. They also sent a lot of parts, saying that it's easy to break. If at most 16 people push together, it'll probably take less than 4 hours, or even less. They said that they didn't tell me about the bearing, friction, toughness, and so on. I don't understand. Li Sun didn't know what to do. This thing was a sharp weapon. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't allow the Zhang family to use it. The old man was scared. If this was the speed of 8 people, wouldn't 16 people be even faster? He stroked his chest and said to Li Sun, you can't do it now. Lu Jiro, the minister of the Ministry of Works, will be here soon. It'll probably be in 2 days. No wonder they sent me a tricycle. It's the same principle. Not to mention 4 hours, even if it breaks down in half an hour. It can decide the outcome of the battle at a critical moment. During a dogfight, if a few ships like this suddenly attack the opponent's main ship, the other ships won't have time to rescue them. Plus, with the clairvoyance, who can find the enemy first and make arrangements? In a naval battle, who can be the opponent? After 2 days, I'll continue to look for steel for the Zhang family. No, I can't just wait. I have to meet that person and have a good talk with him. I want to see what kind of person he is. Is there anything in this world that he doesn't know? Oh, maybe it's two people. According to the news I got, Song Jinggong said that it's a pair of swords. Amazing, there's actually such a person. Li Sun saw that he had the support of the old man and had an explanation for Zhang Xiaobao. So he nodded, "Old minister, how about we turn around and go back first? If it breaks down later, we'll have to repair it slowly." Okay, let's go back. The old man wanted to drink some tea to calm his mind. Stop. Turn around. Li Sun ordered. The 8 people received the order and stopped moving. They picked up the oars and turned the direction little by little. At this time, Li Sun said, "Old minister, if my ship is in a wide area, it can easily turn around without oars. There's a rudder. On the lake between the clouds and the water, I made a big circle on the way here." Oh, then you could do the same on the river and the Yellow River. Write a letter to the Zhang family later. At this time, the old man felt that his whole body was weak. He was too excited just now. The boat turned around and headed back. At this time, the 8 people were not as fast as before. When they passed by the boats that had just passed by, the people on the boats all looked at Li Sun's boat in horror. They did not see anyone rowing, nor did they see anyone pushing. This boat flew past them like it was flying. With such a boat, even the seasonal fruits of Sichuan would dare to be transported to the capital. When the ship returned to between the clouds and the water, the old man shivered and came to the shore. He exhaled, looked back at the ship, and commented, "Good stuff. The Zhang family has enjoyed too much. They want to use the things they made at home first. Old minister is right. But how can these things only be used at home?" Li Sun also noticed this. For example, the Zhang family made the curved plows first because they had land. Also, the white folding blankets were made to keep the Zhang family warm in winter. At this time, a servant of the old man's family rushed over and said to the old man, "Master, Minister Lu from the Ministry of Works has arrived. He is waiting for you at between the clouds and the water." "Oh, he came so quickly. Come with me." The old man was happy and walked to between the clouds and the water first. At a door on the second floor, the old man's figure appeared. When he saw Lu Jiro, both of them said at the same time, "Something big happened." After they finished speaking, both of them were stunned at the same time and said again, "You know? Old minister, you go first." Lu Jiro said. The old man laughed. "Minister Lu, you go first. I don't think we were talking about the same thing. My matter should be told outside by the river." "By the river? That's not it. My matter is in the capital and has nothing to do with the river. Old minister, you can't imagine what that Zhang Zhong did. He joined forces with the county magistrates of the surrounding counties and listed the matters of some counties. After that, he asked for the counties to be merged into a province. Chapter 395. What? Say that again? The old man felt that there must be something wrong with his ears. Zhang Zhong joined forces with the county magistrates of several other counties and wanted to combine the counties into one state. He took out a report on how much tax the counties would pay and how much the people's living standards would be after the counties were combined. The county magistrates of the other counties all signed their names on it. In addition to this, there is also a military sand table and a comprehensive military adjustment report. As long as they are united, they can use the terrain of the counties to resist when attacked from the outside. The imperial court is already discussing how to use the terrain of the counties to resist. Lu Jiro said word by word. He still didn't dare to believe this matter, but Zhang Zhong really did it. The report also included the matters of the Ministry of Works. The coal was there and it could be used directly on the side for smelting. The two rivers didn't lack water and were convenient for transportation. The old man had suffered 2 shocks in a row today. He felt that it was difficult to breathe, so he picked up the tea on the table and poured it down his throat. After a while, he sat down and silently looked at the charming lake outside the window, not saying a word. Lu Jiro also sat down and looked at the boats that were harvesting the reeds. From time to time, someone would pick something from the reeds and put it into their mouth to eat. The two of them sat for a full quarter of an hour, and Li Sun also stood beside them for a quarter of an hour. He finally understood why the Zhang family spent so much money to buy things from the surrounding counties, why they had to build all the roads, and why the game store was first opened in the counties. Everything they did was for the sake of this year's tax, for the sake of connecting the economies of the several counties, and for the sake of familiarizing people with the topography of the several counties. The final result was to let the higher-ups understand that the several counties could be combined into a state. After spring, the people of the counties would have more income. The rented land for planting vegetables would make this place very prosperous. At the very least, merchants would come to buy and sell, and at the very least, the number of tourists would increase. It was no longer appropriate for this kind of place to be directly managed by the capital. It needed to become a state. But what good would this do for Zhang Zhong? Could it be that he didn't want to leave? Then why did he give him such a scary thing and let him install it on the ship? Which one was real? Which one was fake? Li Sun couldn't figure it out. After all, he was still too young. However, there were two ministers here. They had a lot of experience and could analyze some things. Lu Zhiro opened her mouth first. Old minister, I'm a little afraid of the Zhang family now. I'm afraid of the people behind them. What a big scheme. I can't guess what other tricks they have. Scared, I'm scared too. Is the ship moving so fast part of the plan? Back then, when the county magistrate of Sanshui County, Cheng Lingxiang, wrote a letter from Beijing, he mentioned some of the things that happened in Sanshui County. In order to push him up, the Zhang family pushed Sanshui County up 8 times. At that time, he was afraid. The Zhang family was still a Zhuangzi. With the power of a village, they could push down a county. Then when the Zhang family had a county, wouldn't they be able to push down a prefecture? If the Zhang family was given a province and a prefecture, would they push a country around? What about now? Sure enough, if they were given a county, they would be able to push down a prefecture. Although I don't know what was written in the memorial, I think this matter has already been done. The mountains and rivers over there are all connected, and there are all kinds of things. Did they mention the lake? The old man sighed with emotion. He couldn't believe that the Zhang family had set up the scheme like this. It seemed that as long as they gave the Zhang family a little chance, they could infinitely magnify this opportunity and arrange the overall situation unknowingly or when they were clearly watching. Even if you stared at every place, you couldn't guess what they wanted to do and what their final goal was. Even now, who dared to say that the Zhang family didn't have a backup plan? Who could say that the Zhang family's chess game had reached the end? At this time, Lu Jiro's movements and expression slowed down because she kept thinking about things in her head. After the old man finished speaking, he said after a while, "Yes, they mentioned the lake. They can train a navy in the lake. It's said that they will use a new thing that can make the ships faster, and we don't have to worry about the capital anymore. A navy is enough. Old minister, do you know what it is?" "I know. How could I not know? When I just got off the ship, it was like flying." "I see. Why did they give me a tricycle?" "They transferred you here to tell me about this matter. Even the timing was perfect. They installed the little prince's ship and brought me here to let me know and tell you. Isn't that right, little prince?" As the old man spoke, he suddenly turned to Li Sun. Lu Jiro also looked at Li Sun. Li Sun's face was pale. He sat down on the floor and slowly took out a thick envelope from his arms. He licked his lips and said, "It's true. It's true. Old Minister, Minister Lu, when I came here, Xiao Bao gave me these things. He said that if I happened to meet someone from the capital between the clouds and the water, and that person happened to be Minister Lu, I should give this letter to Minister Lu. If I didn't meet him, I should burn it. Now that Minister Lu is here, I should give it to Minister Lu. Today, I have seen what it means to have a perfect plan. Minister Lu, please." Lu Jiro was already unable to move. Li Sun's words made her and the old man feel cold all over and their hands and feet numb. The two of them never thought that the person behind the Zhang family would be able to calculate things to this extent. What else could he not calculate? Fortunately, there was still a waiter guarding the door. Seeing that Li Sun was about to give something to Lu Jiro and the three of them were still motionless, he ran forward and handed the envelope to Lu Jiro. He then quietly retreated to the door and stood there, but his heart was not calm at all. He was sent by the inner courtyard of the main family. He knew who was the most powerful in this aspect. As long as the young master was willing to help, there was no need to be afraid of any trouble. No matter what difficulty was, it could be solved. The young master and young lady had always been gentle to the inner courtyard and the villagers. He had seen the young master make a move several times. Every time, the people who came to cause trouble were defeated. At that time, he was already in awe of the young master. He did not expect that today, even 2 ministers and a marquis would be involved. His future days would be better. If the young master could even calculate the ministers, what would he be afraid of? The old man, Lu Giraud, and Li Sun did not know that the waiter was secretly laughing. Lu Giraud opened the envelope and took out a piece of paper from inside. She carefully looked at it. The more she looked, the more surprised she became. She raised her head and met the old man's gaze. Old minister, this is the blueprint for the propeller. If you follow the instructions on it, you can make the propeller. This is the last page. Give the one on the little prince's ship to me. I'll compare it. After you make it, don't forget to leave a few for the Zhang family. The Zhang family has great use for it. The Zhang family will not make the same thing themselves in the future. Old minister, I want to see that person. I don't know if you can help me send a letter. The Marquis of Wu is very capable. I won't make any requests. Just seeing him is enough. I won't send troops to capture him. This person is very good at calculation. If by any chance he leaves the Zhang family and goes to seek refuge somewhere else, my dynasty will not be able to afford to lose him. This old man has the same idea. I can only write a letter to the Zhang family's children and ask them. If possible, you and I will go together and tell them what the Zhang family's intentions are. Do they want to stay and not leave? The old man happily agreed. As for whether they could succeed or not, that was not important. Lu Giraud was a minister. When she analyzed things, she was much better than Li Sun. She thought for a moment and said, "This is to pave the way for Zhang Zhong." Zhang Zhong is only a county magistrate right now, a lower 7th rank official. Originally, I thought that the Zhang family would change Huayuan County to an upper county and let Zhang Zhong be a lower 6th rank official. This way, if he was placed there, he would be a lower province's minister of war, a lower 6th rank official. If he was promoted, it would be easier for the higher-ups to explain. Or maybe he would be a lower province's governor, a lower 6th rank official. Both are not bad. Unfortunately, the Zhang family doesn't think so. No matter how good these 2 positions are, they can't be compared to a provincial governor. If this is feasible, even though it's a new province, it's still Zhongzhou. Since Zhang Zhong has put in so much effort, he should have a share of it, right? It also has to be a good position. 5th rank is easy. If Zhang Zhong is no longer an official in Xinzhou, he will be exiled voluntarily or by someone. Then, the higher-ups will naturally compensate him. The Zhang family plans to arrange for Zhang Zhong to be a lower province's provincial governor. This is a lower 4th rank official. Good ability, good calculation. When the time comes, it will be done by the assistant minister of the Ministry of Works. Even if he hides behind, the higher-ups will still be able to find out. Even if they can't find out, don't they still have me? After offering things again and again, in the end he gave the Ministry of Works a blueprint. The Ministry of War will also intervene. At the last moment, he was framed by the people of the Ministry of Works and sent to the most remote place. Even if the emperor doesn't promote him, it won't make sense. Old minister, don't you think so? Lu Giraud put everything together and finally analyzed what the Zhang family wanted to do. They didn't want a mere deputy official position and directly wanted to be a provincial governor. They pushed a province and gave such a big gift. In addition to the things they offered before and the status of Zhuangyuan, all of this was calculated. The old man also thought of this and added, if it's only like this, the emperor may directly pull him to the capital and give him a 5th rank official. But the most important thing is the Zhang family's ability. No matter where they are, they can always make the people there live well. The power of a village can make the people of Sanshui City live a good life. The power of a county can make the surrounding counties live a good life. Then, if Zhang Zhong is placed in the worst place, can the Zhang family also make the people there live a good life? Increase the rent and tax? This is what the emperor is thinking. If the worst place is taken care of, Zhang can also go to the worst places. It's nothing more than increasing the title and empty position. The people behind the Zhang family are calculating their temperament. I'm old. I really want to see what the Zhang family can do outside. Li Sun was also listening to the conversation between the two of them. His status made it impossible for the two of them to chase him out. As he listened, he suddenly said, I've decided. I'll tell my imperial uncle in advance that my fief will follow the Zhang family. Wherever his family goes, I'll go. Even if the land is smaller, I'll agree to it even if I don't have to live in it. Little prince, you must not be careless. You have to take care of yourself when you are sick. Li Sun laughed and said, that is to say, when Zhang goes to a poor place, he will be a provincial governor? He has the final say in a province. If I really go with him, Minister Liu, will you give the new propeller to the Zhang family? Of course, how can we not? The Zhang family said in the letter that they asked the Ministry of Works to keep a few for them. This is giving face to the Ministry of Works. If they can make one, they can make a second one. It is nothing more than telling the court that the Zhang family understands the rules and what can be done and what cannot be done. The Zhang family knows this very well. Don't think that there is a lack of stainless steel. The Zhang family has already mined a lot of coal. With the ability of the Zhang family, is it difficult to make some stainless steel? The Zhang family has a choice. Are the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of War not sensible children? Ever since the Zhang family made the sand table and military map, the people from the Ministry of War began to pay attention to the Zhang family. Also, the Ministry of War has already found people to try out the design of the ship. They propose to modify 10 ships at once. If the people from the Ministry of War also come to rope us in, won't I, as the Minister of Works, fall behind? Liu Jiro had a lot of things to consider, not only the use of this thing, but also some things in the court. Then let's take this thing back first. I will also go back to Huayuan County. Li Sun had a plan in his heart and knew how to tell Zhang Xiaobao. There is no need to take it back. Just do it according to these drawings first. This time, I brought a lot of people. If they really can't do it, then we can take that thing apart. I still don't know how fast it is, so I will go and see. Liu Jiro didn't want to go back. There must be people from the Ministry of War waiting there. The last time she came here, she was already targeted by them. What if she was discovered again? The old man had already experienced it once, but he still wanted to experience it again. The three people came out of between the clouds and the water one after another and boarded the ship. Following Li Sun's order, the old man was laughing heartily all the way, but Liu Jiro's expression was serious. Fast, it was really too fast. The 8 of them worked hard. From time to time, the bow of the ship would be swayed by the current because it was not heavy enough. While it was moving up and down, Liu Jiro suddenly asked, what will happen if this thing is put on the sea? Can it be bigger? On the sea? You will have to ask the little prince. The little prince is planning to make a ship. As for whether it can be bigger, you will have to ask the people from the Zhang family. This time, the old man wasn't as nervous as last time. He said in a relaxed manner, in Huayuan County, in the swimming pool of Yaowang Mountain, 56 people were still swimming in the water. At this time, everyone was carrying 20 kilograms of weight, but no one would shrink back because of this. The sound of splashing water was constantly heard. Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao also swam with them. Of the two of them, one was carrying a weight, while the other was not. Wang Wan usually played in the swimming pool, and in addition to her familiarity with the water, she swam faster than the 56 people. Although she was a child, in the water, whoever could display their ability better would be able to swim faster. Needless to say, Zhang Xiaobao had a natural affinity for water. After the flood, he vowed to become stronger in the water. From fear to conquest, and then to assimilation, Zhang Xiaobao's understanding of water had reached a terrifying level. Wang Wan had been specially trained, and her movements were standard. Whether it was the breaststroke, butterfly, or freestyle, most of the time, her body was moving in the water, and she would only take a breath after a certain distance. Don't give up. You are the most powerful guards. Rhythm, Pay attention to the rhythm. Swim for me. The water is not cold. Swim. Look ahead a little. Find a goal for yourself. Don't look far away. Just look at the front. Believe in yourself. I can do it. I can do it. Go. Wang Wan encouraged the 56 people while swimming. Zhang Xiaobao stuck closely to Wang Wan. It was unknown how he moved, but every time he swam, the current would not only not exhaust Wang Wan's strength, but also make her feel much more relaxed. Look at the young master and the young lady. Just in front, swim. 1, 2, 1, 2, relax, spread your arms, steady, no one is allowed to rush. Huzi also shouted, but every shout was very strenuous. He did not want to support Wang Wan with Zhang Xiaobao's special swimming beside her. The rest of the 55 people adjusted their breathing and frequency, no longer thinking of following Taidu. Their eyes were fixed on the young master, who was also carrying weights. The 5 caddies of sand calculated according to the weight of the body did not affect the young master in the slightest. At this time, they really saw the young master's swimming ability. Like a fish, the young master was always faster than others at the same frequency. This was already the 10th round trip, and also the last one-way trip. No one wanted to give up, and they clenched their teeth and persevered. Even if they felt weak all over, even if there were stars in front of them, they still closed their eyes and persevered according to their own frequency. When Wang Wan reached the end, she exerted strength under her feet, and Zhang Xiaobao supported Wang Wan from below. She jumped directly to the shore and lay there, gasping for breath. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly sank into the water and floated up again. He waved at the 56 people and let them go first. When the last one, Huzi, also climbed up, Zhang Xiaobao circled in the water and with his force directly jumped up in the water. He put his hands on the edge of the pool, and his whole body soared into the air. When he landed, his feet touched the ground first. The 56 people were dumbfounded by what they saw. Wang Wan was also stunned. She pulled Zhang Xiaobao and asked, "What are you?" "It's nothing. I'm used to the water. You can treat me as a cool man." Zhang Xiaobao was indeed not tired. When he swam, he could control the details. "Then you will stay in the sea in the future. You are not allowed to go ashore. Maybe a mermaid will take a fancy to you." Wang Wan helped Zhang Xiaobao remove the weight on his body and said. Zhang Xiaobao did not avoid it and directly massaged Wang Wan. Wang Wan shouted as she swam, and her physical strength was too exhausted. The others also divided into pairs and helped massage there. "Xiaobao, when will you leave? I really can't bear to leave." Wang Wan was massaged for a while and turned over to ask, "No matter what, we have to wait for the ice in the Yellow River to melt. When we are there, ordinary people can't control us. If you want to raise dogs, find a few there. If you want to train people, there are many ethnic minorities there. Remember to integrate. Don't be like Yang Guozhong, foolishly happy and determined to destroy the human race." In the end, he was defeated twice in a row, and many people died. Zhang Xiaobao clenched his fist and massaged Wang Wan's leg. "I'm not that kind of person. Xiaobao, I know that you have a big plan this time. It's not just to give your father a good position over there, right? I have seen the ability of international swindlers with my own eyes. None of them are easy to deal with. That you're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.